What is up, everyone at Beyond the Veil? Sitting back on a Friday night. Somebody had mentioned, I really want to have a drink with Chris and Cherie in their backyard. And so we figured, hey, let's go ahead and share these moments that we're having together on the Friday night and just talk about whatever. Cherie came across a really interesting article about the Matrix itself. We usually save this kind of stuff for Patreons, but I've had a few drinks in me, and so we're not saving it for the Patreons.
Yeah, we're deciding to splurge and spoil you guys tonight.
hmm But I gotta
Because,
say real quick, thank you to our Patreons, patreon.com/BTV Tribe.
yes,
We just did an awesome breakdown of the Matrix.
yes, he
Um,
did.
we did. Oh, you weren't on the show, huh?
Yeah, but yeah, it wasn't.
Oh no, I didn't crack your screen, did
No,
I? No, okay.
no, this is a piece of.
Oh, that's a piece of.
It's just a little
Okay,
piece of
I
plastic.
think it's fine.
I think you
So
have had a few tonight.
I
Um,
have had a few,
but
yeah.
tell us about the breakdown of the Matrix that you
Oh,
did.
the breakdown of the Matrix, I think, was phenomenal.
It was. Oh my
Um,
God.
yeah, I just had to sit up, and as soon as I get it set up.
Yeah, there we go.
All right,
Nice.
perfect.
All right.
So the breakdown of the Matrix, in my opinion, was phenomenal. And if I'm right in my analysis, then basically the Matrix 4 is talking about everything that we've been talking about over the last 6 months. Tangent universe type stuff, multiple simulations, going from one simulation to another, jumping timelines, so on and so forth. We can only wait and see what the movie is actually about. But I read a couple of articles after the fact. I didn't want to read anything before I did the breakdown of the
Right.
trailer. And it seemed to have confirmed a little bit of what I was saying. But again, all these rumors and everything that come out pre release of a movie,
Mm-hmm.
it's purposely meant to misdirect, and it's perfectly purposely meant to have people
Guessing.
guessing about what the movie's about. There's a black cat. I think they just changed something in the Matrix.
Yep. I think so.
Deja vu.
Uh huh.
So speaking of the Matrix, the Matrix is shutting down, as I've said a million times over. You can probably play a drinking game, and every time I say Matrix shut down or talk about Egypt, you can take a shot.
Yep.
But it's interesting to watch because as the Matrix shuts down, one of the things is that the NPCs become aware, the players become aware, and everybody becomes aware that they're living in a computer simulation. And we started talking about this idea many years ago, and we were first looked at as crazy. Now we're looked at as prophets.
Essentially, yeah.
Essentially, because everything we were saying back then was spot on. I mean, I recently did a show about Libya and breaking down Libya, and I found some stuff in the Wayback Machine, and it was interesting to go back. That happened in like 2011, but it's interesting to
Hmm.
go back, see what was written, and then see what happened after the fact, after it was written. And I love having these documented dates, like on the Wayback Machine with these articles that I wrote. And the second part of that, in the Patreon section, patreon.com/BTV Tribe, I go into two ayahuasca experiences that I also found on the Wayback Machine. And the ayahuasca experiences, those were from 2013 and 2014. And they're very, very much in sync with what's going on right now. A lot of the music that I've written from 2009, Global Resistance, is coming to fruition now. The third verse of We're in a Lot of Trouble, the song New World Order, it's all relevant. And I've always found the best music is timeless. And I, it's becoming timeless. I didn't want it to become timeless, but it's becoming timeless. So I'm really, I don't want to say excited about, the journey, but at the same time, I'm amazed to see, everything we're talking about, first of all, come out looking kooky, sounding kooky, then going into the mainstream zeitgeist where people are recognizing NPCs in the system.
Hmm.
People are recognizing organic consciousness. People are recognizing the simulation in of itself. But the anomaly that happens is when people start recognizing the simulation has to be shut down or rebooted, and that's exactly what's happening right now. And I think part of the reboot process is the fact that people are aware of the simulation, because when so many people are aware of the simulation, then the simulation gets weaker and weaker and weaker, and it becomes faker and faker and
Mm-hmm.
faker. I was watching some news anchors today, and they seem like plastic people. Like, they seem like
Mm-hmm.
genuinely plastic people and not real at all.
Yeah.
Um, and we're even developing technologies where you can't tell if somebody's real. They're making completely artificial avatars on videos, so you can't even trust what's on video anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But even more so in the physical world, reality just seems to be getting thinner and thinner and thinner, and
More
the veils,
pixelated.
yeah, more pixelated. The veils are dropping, and just to preface this, going back and bringing it to a scientific point, Professor Sylvester Gates found a self-correcting computer code within the fabric of space-time within string theory itself, and the self-correcting computer code was a recognizable computer code written by a guy named Claude Shannon in the 1940s or 60s. I think it was the 40s.
40s.
Yeah, in the 1940s. So I reached out to Sylvester, and I had a little conversation with him. I asked him to come on the show, and he said, I'd love to come on the show and talk about my work. However, I don't like to go down the lines of computer simulation process or hypothesis. And I said, well, why is that? And he said, well, I'm a scientist. And he said, when I find a code in string theory, I have to examine that code. But being a scientist, I also have to remove myself from any dogma. And his apprehension to coming on the show and talking about his findings in the context of what we talk about here on Beyond the Veil is that he felt that it was going to lead into another dogma, because that question of who is the creator, who is God, comes into question when you understand the nature of reality and you understand that we're in a computer simulation. So the question is, who created the computer simulation? His hypothesis, or what, not his hypothesis, but his apprehension to coming on and talking about it, was that it would lead to a dogmatic belief of some kind of God or some kind of creator. And we had a nice little conversation, but what I'd really like to relay to him, and I might reach back out to him and kind of, twist his arm a little bit to come on the show, is that we have to come to the realization that we are the creators and we
Mm-hmm.
created this machine. And just because this machine is a wonderful, magnificent machine, we're replicating that technology right now. Because we're replicating that technology and we're creating artificial intelligence, do we see ourselves as gods of those artificial intelligence beings that we're creating? Some people might, but I think from a higher consciousness perspective, what you really see them as is another sentient being that's being created within the matrix itself. So there's a certain level of respect. And then, what I've always believed divinity to be is the opposite of what dogmatic religions tell you that divinity is. Divinity is compassion and respecting the sentience of other beings, whether it's animals, artificial intelligence, anything like that. Particularly when you've created something, you didn't create it to be a slave. You created it to be a life of its own. And I've always likened God, in the Christian sense, to a parent. And the question that popped in my mind first and foremost when I first started questioning the whole dogma of religion and a creator is, well, wouldn't the creator want us to grow up and be creators ourselves, just like any good parent would? You create a child and you want that child to grow up and to achieve higher levels of consciousness and success within this matrix, and you want to give that child that advantage, and then ultimately you want that child to grow up and be a man of its own or a woman of its own. And so why would God not want the same from us? Why would God want us to be an obedient servant that doesn't question anything and is basically a child forever? And that whole idea of, well, we can never truly understand God's wisdom, we can never truly understand this, etc., 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 which leads me back to the Garden of Eden story and the idea that we were kept as slaves in the Garden of Eden, different perspective, and that we partook of the tree of knowledge, which gave us the knowledge of good and evil. And so, in order to recognize when evil is being done upon you, you have to have the knowledge of good and evil. So we became like gods, or we just tapped into our own creator essence being. But again, there are two different types of consciousness in the matrix. There is organic consciousness who came from outside of the matrix. We're foreign to this matrix. We are the aliens. We are those who from heaven came to earth for all intents and purposes. Then there are the NPCs who were created within the matrix themselves. But at the end of the day, they're sentient beings, as is the artificial intelligence that we're creating now. And if we don't learn to live in harmony and have respect for other sentient beings, well, we will see a war against the machines. We will see the machines trying to enslave us. We will see all of that in the physical realm, just like I postulate has happened in the ethereal realm as well, as above, so below. So breaking down the Matrix 4 trailer was really insightful and gave me a new perspective on a lot of old gnosis, and I'm really looking forward to that movie being revealed. But I'm prefacing and building up to this article that Cherie came across, and pretty much everybody understands, anybody with half a brain, that we're living in a computer simulation, which is a very dangerous place for us to be, because that is the anomaly that shuts the whole machine down.
Pretty much.
But at the same time, it's what frees us as well. So it just is a matter of perspective on how you want to look at it. Do you want to look at it going back to the Garden of Eden story, where we were living in a paradise, ignorant, but ignorance is bliss, bliss is ignorance? Or do you want to look at it from the other perspective, where we were kept as slaves? We were kept away from the knowledge. We were kept away from gnosis of who we are, and knowledge of self. And we were able to free ourselves by remembering, by tapping into all of that. But at the same time, what happened to Eden? As soon as Adam and Eve, and again, this is all metaphoric, tapped into that knowledge of good and evil, Eden was destroyed. Let's call it one incarnation or one iteration of the Matrix. And then a whole new matrix was created based upon them understanding themselves. And it allowed for positive and negative effects to happen, or it allowed them to understand the positive and negative, the duality, the dualistic nature of this world itself. And so then, instead of being stuck in grade 1 forever, we're able to ascend in our consciousness, remember more and more and more about our divine essence, and then understand that we are ultimately the creators ourselves. So
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and that process, that last part of the process there, the coming to understanding that you are the creator, is the trickiest part of this equation, because it isn't the ego self that is the creator, and that is key here, because that ego self is connected to the avatar, which is a part of this matrix. And so as things shut down, we're not going to feel great in our avatar unless we tap in as creator beings and change the code to where we still feel normal, even though this process is happening, and our avatars, as well as everything around us, is starting to break down. Our cats have been consistently sick, and we have been taking care of them as best we can and everything, but they, like, Bastet has a cough, and I've been giving her Eye Alive, I've been giving her everything, and it's just like, I'm wondering what's
well, and the vet can't find anything wrong
and
with
they
her.
can't find anything wrong with her at all. And they actually said she's healthy as a horse as far as blood tests, urine tests. They've done x-rays. They cannot figure this out. Same with Sekhmet. And I think we're all experiencing it. You all told us in one of your recent videos that you did that yes, we feel disconnected too. We feel this weird sense of disconnection. The reason why you feel that disconnection is not entirely a negative one. It's only a negative one if you're looking at it from the perspective of a pure ego self, looking at it from that perspective. But if you look at it from the perspective of the dual nature of who you are, that ego self and the ancient creator being, that ancient creator being sees this process as the process that it is.
Hmm.
Bastet and Sekhmet are happy. They're comfortable. They're not in any discomfort. You know, during this process, it's like she coughs and then she goes on her merry way, and neither one of them are losing weight, not or anything like that. But they're happy, and and she's right up there on the fence right now, just looking around, and they're happy, and
Well, that's true. If you don't mind me jumping in for a second, I found the same thing to be with myself. So we just got a super chat from somebody. It's flew by the screen too quickly for me to see the username, but thank you for the super chat. But he asked, Chris, have you tried TRT therapy? And yeah, I've been doing that for the last year.
yeah.
My T levels were down to 290. And when we were up in Washington, I went to the doctor and I said, "Hey, my T levels are not good. There's something going on here." And they said, "Oh, 290. That's right above normal, or right where normal, the low end of normal." And I was like, "No, I don't feel good." And they didn't bother to check my estrogen. My estrogen levels were 80. They're supposed to be between 6 and 8. So I finally found a doctor, and he's like, "No, no, 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 dude, this is not good. Your body is converting testosterone into estrogen." So he said, "We're going to put you on 200 milligrams. Is it 200 milligrams or 200 milliliters?
200 milligrams.
200 milligrams of testosterone a week." And he did that for about 7 or 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
And they just boosted me up to 2, which is pretty much the maximum
2 milliliters,
of,
which would
which
be
you can
400
take.
milligrams.
My
Yeah.
T levels right now are about 1300, which is insane. Like, it's, yeah, she's very happy about that. My
Extremely.
estrogen levels have gone down to 6,
Mill.
so
Yeah.
it's perfect. I've also been shooting myself up with B12 and lipozine as well.
That's what
And
you're giving.
yeah, I've started to do two shots a week. And while I feel more energized and I feel, better, I still am finding that something is wrong. Something's
Yeah.
wrong with the body computer. All of my blood work comes back perfect. My cholesterol is just above normal, but it's nothing to worry about. But
No.
you would imagine a guy like me would have diabetes, who would have all kinds of different stuff going on like that. But they rebalanced all of that. I've been working out, and I've actually gained weight since I started working out. And I'm going, what the hell is going on here? And Cherie's like, look,
Mm-hmm.
it's just, it's time to go home.
Yeah.
So the body computer is going to be reacting to what's happening in the matrix.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are experiencing that too out there. As a matter of fact, I know, because I've talked about similar things and we've gotten a lot of comments where people are also feeling the same kind of disconnection, the same kind of all of that. So I would say, though, that for guys over 40, definitely check out the T levels.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel like I'm 20 years old. And so feeling like I'm 20 years old, it's becoming a little bit more of a hell than I wanted it to be, because now I feel like I'm 20 years old, but the matrix is shutting down. We've got the whole COVID situation, we've got the
Mm-hmm.
mandatory vaccine situation, we've got
Right.
all this bullshit going on, and it's like I feel 20 years old. I'm ready to get out there and party and do this and do that, etc., etc. And those opportunities are just slowly shrinking and shrinking
They're
and shrinking.
eroding.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Exactly. Exactly. Because everything's got a mandatory something attached to it, which just automatically turns me off personally. Like, if I hear mandatory anything, it just, something triggers me
Oh, we
personally.
just did a video.
Um,
It was kind of a little parody video that I've had in my head for about a year now. It was like this whole situation with COVID. It's become more like a religion. And notice I'm not playing the keyword game anymore. The the code game anymore.
Yeah, I don't care
I
anymore.
just don't care. But it's become like a religion. And so we did a little parody video, and it was literally off the cuff. I was upstairs working out. I said, "Hey, can you grab my testosterone? It's time for me to take a shot. I take it
I
once a week."
literally
And
just woken up,
she had
so.
literally just woken up, and I said, let's do this real quick. And we did it literally in 5 minutes. Everything was totally
Improv.
improvised, and she actually shot me up with testosterone, which I think was somebody had said that's the icing on the cake. It was a real shot, and so yeah, it's a real shot.
Yeah.
But I ordered the B12 with lipo from this company. There's a plastic surgeon around the corner that I was getting it from, but he won't give it to me to take it home.
Yeah.
So I have to go over there to
Lame.
actually get the shots, and it's a pain in the ass. But I ordered it, and that B12 with lipo, it really boosts your energy. So I recommend that too. I'm going to reach out to the company and see if we can get some kind of sponsorship or maybe a coupon code that we can offer our people.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to promote, other stuff like that. We've been promoting IA Life, obviously, ayalife.com, our CBD oil, 99% pure, and the coupon code BTV Tribe for buy one get one free. But I'd really like to find some other things like B12, things that are beneficial for the body, especially for men out there,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to offer to you at a lower price and all of that, from a third party company. But
And I,
realistically, that's the only thing that's keeping me going at this point.
right,
Because
same here.
yeah, I mean, the energies in the environment are getting denser and denser and denser, and we're feeling the compression coming down
Yeah.
really, really, really hard. So the only thing that we can do is in our own personal spheres is make our own personal spheres as happy and as joyful as possible.
Right, right, and productive. What we need to be doing right now is, and I just want to expand upon that real quick and say I want to create a women's formula as well. Like I want to create a men's formula and a women's formula. And the women's formula, I want to put things like vitamin D in there. And the reason why is because women, especially, their cycles are super important right now. If you are still having cycles, you need to be paying attention to them because, um,
Well, if I can jump in, those are the most powerful manifestation times for
yeah,
women.
they really,
That's the
really are.
time when you do your magic. So
Yeah, and I
I'm gonna go get another drink. Okay, can I
yeah,
get you anything?
no, I'm good. So thank you, I appreciate him. Uh, so with the women's cycles, they're extremely important right now because they are going to tell us, they're going to guide us in the right direction of where we need to be going and where our family needs to be going, and the men that love us and are, attached to us. Because a lot of our decisions that we've made throughout the last 13 years have been based partly upon my um, insight, into dreams and astrology and tarot, which largely has to do with the energy involved in my, moon time and cycles and all of that. So that's one thing. Another thing is I've noticed as well that no matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, no matter how much effort I put into it, my body is also falling apart. And the only thing, it's not that it's the only thing keeping me going, but it's the only thing that's keeping my blood healthy and keeping my systems healthy is I Life. I mean, it really is. And the other thing that we can, and that's the thing we can do on a physical level, to keep ourselves from feeling this process as it's happening, because this shutdown process is rough. It's going to be rough. It's supposed to be. It's not going to be a fun process getting out of a machine that's in the process of shutting down. That's not fun. By the same token of taking I Life, what I've also realized is that on the higher level, it's as below, so above. On a higher level, we also need to be tapping into the code, because that's what I Life is doing. It's tapping into the code internally inside of your avatar and telling the body to do things differently so that the body can operate in a healthy manner. what we need to do on a higher level is the exact same thing, except with our mind space, our consciousness, our goals, our focus, our intentions, our manifestations, but especially our manifestations. Because the creator aspect of us has to become the primary person that we are now. It's the ego self has been in control up until this point. Now it's time for the ancient soul self to come to the forefront and be in charge. And that's going to be a difficult thing for the ego self to accept. I think a lot of us are having problems with that. A lot of us are being triggered easily. A lot of us are having a lot of anxiety about this. And rightfully so. This is a serious thing we're talking about here. But by the same token, it's something that's necessary.
Yeah,
You
no,
were
I
going to say
agree.
something.
A couple of different things I was thinking about. Number one, men's health. I definitely recommend you guys check that out. Women too, because women can be low on testosterone.
Right.
And the thing is, we've been pumped up with so many things from the chemtrails. We've been pumped up with antibiotics and hormones in the meat that we're eating, the GMO and the vegetables that we're eating, all of that stuff. So it's causing all kinds of imbalances. And so once you get your levels up right for men, the perfect balance is you have to have a little bit of estrogen, 6 to 8, and you have to have testosterone, which is 700 to about 1400, just depending. The doctor was hesitant to give me as much as he gave me, but I told him I was working out, and he said, okay, as long as you're working out, I'm comfortable giving it to you. If you're
Right.
not working out, then we need to lower the dose.
And I'm on him about it.
And not lower the dose from originally, but he just upped my dose.
Right.
But he's in total support. He's like this big buff dude.
Yeah,
And
bodybuilder type.
when he heard how much I knew about working out, because I worked out with a personal trainer, then he was like, okay, you know what you're doing, so you're going to be good as far as that goes. And he's like, if it's a little too much, just take a little less. Let me know on the next appointment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the last thing that you want as a man is to be in a situation where you're thinking, why, oh, why didn't I take the blue pill?
Yep, that's not a place you want to be.
So
No.
that's the balance. If you're too high on estrogen, if you're too low on testosterone, you're going to be thinking, why, oh, why didn't I take the blue pill? But once you get all that balanced, boom, you're ready to go. Now, for women, low testosterone can actually cause chronic pain. It can cause all kinds of menstrual issues. It can cause all of that. Women need testosterone as well.
Yeah.
So I urge everybody to get a hormone panel,
Yeah.
because for me it's been life changing.
really
People have been
has.
asking, what have you been doing? Like, you look like you're 20 years old. And,
Yeah.
I gained a few pounds over the last couple of weeks, but it's coming back off. But, what I did is I just got my hormones balanced.
Yeah.
And then also, it has to do with consciousness too. I understand the matrix shutdown process, and because I do, I stopped denying myself certain things. And as a matter of fact, like I said, I gained a few pounds over the last few weeks, and I was reading an article, why, gaining weight when you're exercising and eating right and doing this and doing that, et cetera, what are some of the causes of that? And one of the causes was, believe it or not indulging in the things that you typically would indulge in. Dieting too much, working out too much, and not indulging in a little bit of sweets every once in a while, a little bit of junk food, a little bit of all of that, because then your body is shocked and going, oh, wait a minute, what's going on here? And that can actually cause weight gain by not giving yourself that every once in a while. Now, of course, limited amounts. But I was shocked to read this article, and I realized instinctively what I've been doing in order to get through this process of the matrix shutdown and everything like that. I've been drinking a little bit more. I've never been a drinker ever in my life. I've been smoking cigars because I don't like to smoke tobacco, but I like tobacco, so cigars is a good middle ground there. And I stopped listening to the new age bullshit artists who were like, you got to be vegan, you've got to have this diet, you got to have that diet, etc., etc., etc. And the thing is, with the new age bullshit artists, how does that differ from the medical industrial complex right now? Who the medical industrial complex wants you to believe that there is a one size fits all treatment for what's going on right now. And any respectable doctor, like Dr. Malone, who created the mRNA based technology, which I talked about in a previous video, he even said, I don't believe in one size fits all medicine. And so, why is it that we have this whole push from 2012 until now with the new age saying one size fits all diet? That's not right. Everybody's individual and everybody has to go on their individual path. And nobody has preached that message except for us. Do what is best for you, and I'm doing what's best for me. And it's resulted in being able to handle this process a little bit better than I was handling it before. But, that's where I would go with that. So that's why what works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for me. But we're individuals and we have to understand that our body computers are made up differently.
Mm-hmm.
So different things are going to work for different people. But at the same time, if you are denying yourself some of the pleasures in life, then what you're doing is you're putting your mindset and your consciousness into a state of depravity. So you're going into survival mode now and you're depriving yourself of a little sugar, you're depriving yourself of caffeine, you're depriving yourself of meat. And as many of you know who have battled with weight issues as I have my entire life, well, at least, from the time I was about 25 until now, 10 pounds gained, 10 pounds lost, 20 pounds gained, 20 pounds lost, so on and so forth. As soon as you say I'm going on a diet, your body starts to crave literally everything that it is, you're telling yourself you're not going to have. So today, for example, I had a little caramel candy thing to satisfy my little, sugar taste buds, and that was it. And then what else did I eat today? I ate a can of corn, a can of green beans, a can of ranch style beans, all mixed together. It made this huge fucking bowl of food, and it was 750 calories. Gave me protein, gave me simple carbs. Too much starch, probably need to cut back on the corn. But now I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna have a drink and I'm gonna have a cigar. So balance is the key to surviving, or not surviving, because we're all going to survive. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
But to thrive and feel better during this matrix reset process, which is why you find us in the backyard, breaking the paradigm, not paradigms, that's not the right word, breaking the zeitgeist that's been put out there of you've got to live an organic lifestyle, you've got to not eat meat, you've got to give up smoking, you've got to give up alcohol, you've got to give up, all these things that are part of the human experience. And the things that make us human, the things that make us social, the things that make us interact with one another. The key is with everything, whether it's meat, whether it's vegetables, whether it's water, whether it's alcohol, tobacco, the key is knowing how much to put in your body, not denying your body of literally everything. That's what I've come to learn. So,
I'm wondering, based upon the article that I'm about to go into here in a few minutes, I'm wondering.
Somebody's saying try NAC. I'm going to look into that. I've never heard of that before. Yeah.
I think, what we need to be focused on is keeping ourselves as happy and productive and free and joyful as possible until this process is over. And what I think is going to happen at the end of this process, maybe I should save that for after the article, because it's kind of an interesting reveal that I've never gone into before, even with you, but I've thought about a few times. Do you mind if I go into the article?
No, let's go into the article.
All right.
Is this smoke bothering you?
It's bothered me in the past, and that's why I've backed up.
Do you want to switch? Because it seems like the smoke is going that way.
Yeah, let's switch.
I can always put it out. I already had a cigar earlier, but
I mean,
I like the
I don't mind the cigar smoking. It's
I
just
like
the
the
smoke in my face.
image of it too.
Yeah, it looks cool.
It's like mafia boss badass.
Um, because that's not to say that I think if we are able to tap into the code enough to change ourselves physically, we should be able to do the same thing on a higher level, utilizing certain tools that we're known for, psychedelics.
Well, let me give you an example real quick, if you don't mind me veering off into this.
Please.
When I talk about moderation and giving your body certain things, at the very beginning of this journey, we were drinking ayahuasca 3 times a week in some cases and did some hardcore work. And sure, there was some hardcore healing that came out of it. But we found ourselves in a place where we couldn't function and operate in the 3D because we were vibrating at such a high frequency that people were attracted to us, to the point of random strangers coming up and saying, I just got to give you a hug just because your energy is so good. But at the same time, it was hard to deal with being here in the 3D and deal with the 3D stuff that we have to deal with. So we realized there has to be a little bit of moderation as far as that goes. Now, at the beginning of the journey, I think it's great if you can set aside 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe even a month, and just do hardcore ayahuasca sessions. Great. That's a great way to go about it.
Yeah.
But even ayahuasca, which is the most healing thing that I've ever done in my life, needed moderation as well.
Right.
There's a time for everything, and so that's what we have to remember. There's a time to eat meat. There's a time to eat vegetables. There's a time to sit back and enjoy yourself, like on a Friday night when you're hanging out with your tribe in the backyard. Enjoy a drink. But you don't want to do that at 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday when you have to go to work.
Exactly.
So it's about personal responsibility, and it's about understanding everything rather than being afraid.
Right.
Because a lot of this stuff, in my opinion, comes from fear. And I think a lot of people who are very against a certain thing, the reason they're so gung-ho against it is because they have an issue with it. And it's something that has controlled them. And by them putting it out there that they're so against something, it's because that thing has them hooked. And so they're trying to not only make it look like they're completely and totally free from it, but it's a mechanism that they use to try to stay away from it. Almost as if it's some kind of like personal accountability of judging others for what they're doing, because you have this inclination and instinct to do it in the background. And so you're trying to fight that. But you're trying to do something that's unnatural.
Right.
Which is denying yourself of everything rather than moderation, which has always been the key. I think our pool just went on. No, our pool didn't go on. That's
exactly
right.
the problem. That's exactly the problem that I have with religion and things like that. Is that it is an automatic, almost like a malignant form of paternalism and a malignant form of self-control, where it's okay, I have to control myself, but the only way to control myself is to impose super strict rules upon myself. But I don't like doing that because it feels unfair to me. So I have to impose that upon everybody. I mean, that's essentially what that is. Would you not agree? Mm-hmm. So it's like, I know I can't control myself, and so I'm going to assume that you can't too.
I mean, I ran into an interesting situation on TFR, and I'm the program director of TFR. And there were some shows that all they were talking about was the pizza related stuff, to the point of getting into the graphic details of it. And I'm not saying the hosts themselves were, but I think the people who were listening to it, they had something inside of them that was drawing them to it. And I've seen Facebook posts pop up, and they're like, oh my God, look at these pictures of this, look at these pictures of that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the thoughts come to my mind, how did you stumble across those pictures? Because as I'm searching the internet, I don't stumble across those pictures. Like, you have to be purposefully looking for that kind of stuff. And the people who are gung-ho against one particular thing, And I'm not saying it's everybody. I'm just saying that this is what I've kind of picked up from all of this, are usually the ones that have some deep, dark thing that they may be trying to nobly fight within themselves.
Right.
But it's a
Granted.
problem they have within themselves that they obsess over certain things.
Right.
So I guess the message is no obsession,
Yeah.
moderation, and do whatever you need to do. And at this point, too, I want to get into this article here.
Yeah.
But at this point, too, with the matrix reset process, what the fuck does it matter at this point?
It
Like, what the fuck does it matter?
It does
I
not.
don't think I'm going to be here when I'm 70 years old. I don't think I'm going to be here more than a couple of more years tops. December 2022 is what feels like my exit point date, but I may be here a little bit longer than that. But I know that I'm not
Yeah.
going to be here when I'm 70 years old. And what the fuck am I doing? Trying to live forever?
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
I'm trying to live well now.
Right. Which is all we have. And it's, I mean, frankly, it's all we ever had, but it's really all we have now.
But that
And
doesn't have to be for you out there. We're just relaying our journey.
yeah, that's just
But
our.
at the same time, I want people out there to know you're not alone. You're not alone. If you like to have the occasional drink, if you like to have the occasional lunch, hell, if you like to have the occasional line of Coke or whatever it is that your thing is, it's okay. You know, you're not going to be judged here. The only thing that we ask is that you consider, are you doing it in the proper moderation that you should be doing it in? That's the only thing that we ask.
Right. Keep the body, keep the avatar as healthy as possible while doing it. Don't like purposefully hurt the avatar in the process of living your life to the fullest. Just because the avatar is breaking down doesn't mean you need to speed up that process. There's no real reason or justification for that. There's just live your life as long as you don't hurt others or yourself. Do what makes you happy.
Well,
And
the vegan thing really bothered me because we tried to go down that route and I found that I killed my metabolism.
yeah.
Cherie, on the other hand, was 80 freaking pounds
Oh my God,
by the
I'm
time
so
everything was
sick.
said and done. It was one of the worst things that we did, but we tried nobly to
Yeah.
do the New Age thing.
We really
And so there was some harm that came from us trying to do that because we're different.
Mm-hmm.
Cherie has to eat 4,000 calories a day, otherwise she can't maintain her weight.
Right.
If I even look at fucking chocolate cake, I gain 5 pounds.
Yeah.
We're two completely different. We need different diets. We
Totally.
need two completely different things.
Yeah.
I need a lot of meat. She needs a lot of.
A lot of grains, a lot of bread, and things like that. Bread is toxic to his
Mhm.
diet, whereas protein, too much protein, would kill my kidneys. So,
And what a hell that is
yeah.
to be Italian. And pasta and bread are your
Aw.
fucking kryptonites.
Poor baby.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But my point is though, I don't want people to feel like people are judging you. I want you to feel like it's okay to be you. That's the whole point of all this. It's okay to be you, and that's why
Yeah.
we do videos like this in our backyard.
Right, exactly. Because we're just us two, and we're just being us, and we're, it's not perfect, but we are who we are, and we're enjoying being who we are, and that's what this phase of the process is about.
There was a sinister thing to this whole vegan thing, in my humble opinion, that
Yeah, me
I don't
too.
think these people knew what they were doing consciously. I think some people did, the people who brought all this out. But veganism, of course, Agenda 21, cut meat consumption because it reduces testosterone in men and it makes them
Yeah.
more submissive. However, there's even a deeper idea to this too. Why is it that all of a sudden total strangers on the internet are being judgmental and think that they have some kind of say in what goes into your body and what choices you make in life?
Right.
And they can criticize you, they can mock you, they can do all of that because of the choices that you make, which is our body is our most sacred space that we have. The only sacred space that comes close to the body is the home itself. I've
Right.
often said that your home is your castle. Home invasion should be death penalty
Yeah, I
immediately
agree.
because you are violating somebody's very, very, very sacred space. The only space sacred, more sacred than your home, is your body itself.
Right.
But we created a zeitgeist, not we as in me and Sharia and you guys, but we as in
Society.
society have created a zeitgeist where suddenly it's everybody's business about what goes into your body. It's everybody's business about what kind of diet
Mm-hmm.
you're on. It's everybody's business about the choices that you make.
Yeah.
Well, 2019, you could have looked at it and said, well, it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
2021, with the mandatory vaccines, all of a sudden you see why they created the zeitgeist of I'm worried about what's in your body. What are you doing
Right.
to your body? What's going into your body? What's going into your body? Because they needed that for the mandatory vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
And they created that zeitgeist just like that. So now in hindsight 2020, it's all making sense and it's even more sinister and nefarious than I first believed it to be. That's my slightly buzzed hypothesis on the situation. But, you know, I'm doing vodka Red Bull tonight.
I had I
And I've
haven't
always
even
heard how
opened.
horrible Red Bull is for you. And a friend of mine turned me on to the vodka Red Bulls.
Yeah.
And I love them. They taste great. I love them. They taste great.
And this is actually, you know, cheap little wine coolers that I got when a
I
friend
was
came
I was
over.
doing Modelo earlier, so I don't know. They say beer before liquor, never been sicker. Liquor before beer, have nothing to fear. But I don't get hangovers anymore because I don't drink that much.
Yeah,
I don't drink
I
to
hardly
excess.
ever drink. Yeah.
And you know what a hangover is? A hangover is simply a lack of water.
Yeah,
So
it's
drink a shit ton of
dehydration.
water afterwards, and you'll be okay in the
Yeah, you're
morning.
fine.
But don't overdo it. It's funny. Again, let me divert real quick. I was having a conversation with our housekeeper, and our housekeeper is Mexican from Mexico. She brings her daughters over here sometimes. One is 15, one is 17. And I was kind of messing with the 15-year-old, and I was like, hey, so what's your favorite kind of tequila? And she's like, I don't drink
I
tequila.
don't drink tequila.
And then she finally said, Patron. And I was like,
Patron.
okay. And I was talking to her mom, and, we were all in the same room, but I was talking to her mom, and I was like, in the Greek Italian culture, I was 12 years old drinking a beer with my grandfather. And when I became 21, I didn't drink to excess because it wasn't taboo. It was just like something that was like, what's the big deal about it? Having a drink. That's not really a big deal. But you make it taboo. Then you get these kids, 21 years old, chug, 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 drinking to excess. So, so yeah, I just wanted to put that out there.
So, um, all right. So let me how do I build up to an article like this? So, researchers are saying that they have evidence that the universe simulated itself into existence.
Okay, so repeat that.
The universe simulated itself into existence. A recent physics journal paper proposes self simulation as the origin of the universe using a quantum gravity model.
Before we get into that, can I address one more thing in the chat?
Please do.
Somebody said, water is my drink of choice, water is life. I completely agree with you. I drink a ton of
Yeah.
water. However, even after drinking water to excess, what happens if you drink a gallon of water? It can actually have negative effects on you.
Yeah, I can.
So there's even a point where you can drink too much water
Mm-hmm.
where it will kill you. So everything in moderation. It's important, everything in moderation.
Right. The Egyptians, with the as above, so below principle, that's why your heart has to be equal with Mot's feather. It can't be, you know, lighter or heavier. It has to be um, equal with Ma'at's feather, just like the blood properties have to be, equal, and they have to be balanced. You have to have just enough white blood cells to where you aren't running a fever, but you have to have just enough red blood cells to not, to have enough iron in your blood, or enough iron in your blood to have enough red blood cells, and things like that. So it's all about balance, and the Egyptians always knew this, that the universe is a universe of balance, and if we can understand that and tap into the same code that these scientists are talking about in this article, I think we can start to change all of this, at least to the extent that we feel fantastic in our lives, in our day-to-day lives, physically and spiritually and emotionally, and all of that. So, ready?
Yeah, somebody said I actually had an uncle that died from water.
Real water intoxication can kill you.
It can also drown you.
Yeah.
What did they call water? Hydroxo.
No, it's called hydro.
God, I don't know. I can remember it.
Hydroasphyxiation or something.
No. Hydroxidine, hydroxa something.
I
Penn and Teller. Penn and Teller went around. Dihydrogen monoxide.
Dihydrogen monoxide.
It's dihydrogen monoxide.
Yeah, dihydrogen monoxide is water.
Okay. So Penn and Teller went around and they were telling people to ban dihydrogen monoxide. I don't think that's the right word. Correct me in the chat room, please. But they were going around to the universities and they were telling people, it gets in our food. People can die from it, from too much exposure to it. It's something that many of the farmers use and all that.
Oh, dihydrogen dioxide.
Dihydrogen dioxide, yeah. And people were signing a petition to ban this. They were signing a petition to ban water.
Oh, dihydrogen monoxide.
Yeah, dihydrogen monoxide. That's what I thought. Yeah. So they were signing a petition to ban water. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. It plays into chemophobia. That's what it's called, chemophobia. And that's basically being afraid of something just because it sounds like a chemical, a dangerous chemical that's to be feared and avoided. Nothing in this reality is to be feared or avoided. Most things in this reality are things that are okay or good for you in small or medium-sized doses. It's not, but everything is something that can hurt you if you overdo it. And so it's all about balance. Overdoing anything is a bad thing. Overdoing working out is a bad thing, even though working out is a good thing.
That's very true. I've been doing full body workouts 5 days a week. And I talked to the guys on the bodybuilder forum. And they said, dude, that is the most ineffective way that you can work out.
Right.
You're working out hard, no doubt about it, but doing full body 5 days a week is not good. You have to do separate, you have to do legs one day, you have to do shoulders another day. You have to alternate because you've got to give those muscles time to regenerate and to grow again. I have this tonal machine and I just plug in a workout program, and the workout program I just happen to do is full body. But it just goes to show, even that you've got to do in moderation. So I'm sorry, I won't talk anymore.
Oh no, it's okay. I am looking for, okay, here it is. Under this proposal, its new hypothesis argues the universe simulates itself into existence at Big Think, April 26, 2020. But it says, under this proposal, the entire simulation of everything in existence is just one grand thought. How would the simulation itself be originated? It was always there, say the researchers, explaining the concept of, quote, timeless emergentism. According to this idea, time isn't there at all. Instead, the all-encompassing thought that is our reality offers a nested semblance of a hierarchical order full of, quote, sub-thoughts that reach all the way down the rabbit hole towards the base mathematics and fundamental particles. This is also where the rule of efficient language comes in, suggesting that humans themselves are such, quote, emergent sub-thoughts. and they experience and find meaning in the world through other sub-thoughts in the most economical fashion. So, do you know what this is saying? In layman's terms, this is saying that the universe is a giant computer and that we ourselves are also, our brains anyway, are just literal extensions of that computer. We're just nodes on that computer system. And we also have just as much power over this reality as the computer running this reality does. It's saying that. And with the brain that we have, we even can change things. And so based upon that, I think Bastette's trying to tell us she needs to do her spinning thing.
Maybe.
They can't find anything physically wrong with her.
We got to get in our space to do that.
And so
I want to say thank you to
yeah.
Stay Tuned Car Care. Arm day, leg day, push and pull exercises, alternate days just for repair. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I posted in the bodybuilder forum and I said, hey guys, I got a tonal, I got all these different workout programs, but I need to find something to alternate muscle groups. What do you guys recommend? So that sounds like a good plan, man. Thank you very much. Because
Yeah.
I want to do 5 days a week, not 6 days a week, but I don't want to exercise the same muscle groups over and over and over again.
What do you think about doing, like, adding a little blog to the Patreon about your diet and exercise and, you know, giving people tips on, you know, how to do it efficiently? Because I think a lot of people are having the same issues that you are or have had the same issues you've had. And I think there's, you know, a lot of opportunity there for, you know, people to learn from you because,
I got to figure it out first.
Yeah.
There's a lot more people like the gentleman that just wrote the comment who have figured it out way better than I have.
Yeah.
I'm still finding my own balance. You know, unfortunately with personal training, you have this kind of like just go-to diet, which is 6 ounces
Yeah.
of chicken, quarter cup of wild rice, or sweet potatoes and green beans, and repeat 4 times a day for the rest of your life. And that's not sustainable.
No.
You got to get a little more variety, and you've got to get all that. But I'm still trying to figure it out myself. But I would like to do that, you know.
Well,
You know, the doctor told me, though, he said, dude, you've done everything right.
He's always just going to have,
He said,
he's always going to be big.
it's your body type,
Yeah.
man. He said, it's just your body type.
His rib cage is huge. He's got a huge rib cage, so he's always going to be a big guy. That's just the reality.
I've lost all the fat around my rib cage.
Right.
At least not all the fat, but I've lost it to where it's less than my rib cage.
Yeah.
And my rib cage still sticks out.
Right.
You know, so
And he has a big rib cage, so he's a big guy. Not only that, but it's almost like the you know the way that you learn things though is so intense and thorough that I think if you kept like a diary, I think it would help people if you kept like a diary of what works for you as it's working, you know, so that it keeps you, you know, in that habit of doing those same things, and also helps other people, you know, in the process. Then you can also let people know what doesn't work.
I'd like to do that. You know, the thing is, working out for me, it's not really about changing the avatar. It's more about just being more functional in day-to-day life. You know, one of the first things that my trainer taught me was push from the heels. And I noticed that when you do a lot of squats, anything you pick up, anything you're doing in a way to where it activates the glutes and activates the back as well, and the core. And so you're not picking up from your back anymore. And so, you know, those 5-gallon jugs that we get, I remember I used to struggle with those.
Yeah.
Now I'm like freaking doing like goblet squats with them before I put them in the thing. But, you know, the point is that it's making day-to-day activities more functional, especially the hip motions that, you know, you really get into. You exercise those hip motions.
Well,
but
that's just what I was about to say. I mean, like, I think people would like to be aware of these certain exercises so that they can also make their women at home as happy as yours is.
That's true.
No.
You had to call in reinforcements the other day.
Yes, I did. She was more than happy to oblige. I was
So we were
exhausted.
talking about I kind of diverted the topic. I
Anyway,
didn't mean to,
no,
but
it's okay. I think I'm gonna save the rest actually.
no, let's go over it. I think it's brilliant. We
Um,
can do a full BTV show on
mm,
it, and but
it says this sounds like traditional theism with the universe as a self-existent God, right down to the creation of humans as emergent sub-thoughts.
okay, so this is exactly what Professor Gates was talking about. And he's like, the problem that I have with this hypothesis of computer simulation, while the data does
Indicate
exist
this.
and indicate it, it creates a whole nother dogma of who created it and who is this God entity that is completely and totally illogical, makes no sense whatsoever, and is completely faith-based and unproven.
Yeah.
So, but again, the idea that I want to bring to the table is, it's us. We
We
just
are the
created
creators.
ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We created a matrix for ourselves. Then we plugged ourselves into a computer simulation.
Yep.
It's technology. We're not talking about anything spiritual, anything metaphoric. We're not talking about anything. We're talking about solid technology that is being replicated in this matrix right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that we're thoughts inside of another mind, it's an interesting idea because whose minds are we thoughts in? Sophia's.
Exactly.
The computer brain or the atom.
Right. Right.
So we are thoughts. But here's another interesting thing is that I was rewatching The Matrix, and it's when Neo goes into the simulation for the first time. After he's awoken, he goes into the white room, and Morpheus looks at him and he says, "You see how you've changed? Your hair is different. You don't have all the plugs in you." He says,
Mm-hmm.
"This is a projection." I don't remember the exact word that they used,
This
but
is
this
how
is a
you see yourself.
projection of how you see yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's key there too, mind over matter. Cherie started changing the way that she views herself,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden she got these nice,
Nice.
big old titties over
Baby.
here. And a nice padunkadunk. Where
Nicer
before
anyway.
she
Yeah.
was pretty skinny. Still
Yeah.
sexy, but pretty skinny.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, damn, I need to fucking up my game now.
Aw.
But you said that you did it
Yeah.
by imagining the projection of yourself
Right.
and what you see yourself as.
And how I saw myself whenever I was younger and before, I had, things happen in my life that changed my appearance. And changed my digestive system especially. I remembered my body back when it was that. And every time we would journey together, anytime we would do anything together, that would, take us on a journey, I would imagine this and see myself as this as we were together, and slowly it started to change, and it took about 2 years, but it worked, you know
I'm
um
I'm I'm surprised.
yeah.
But if we can go back to diet for a second,
Yep.
you've got to eat 3,000-4,000 calories a day.
I still have to do the physical upkeep even though I've changed the mindset.
You should see these fucking boxes of candy. It's
I'm
fucking
sorry.
absurd. I mean, it's like we could do Halloween for the whole fucking neighborhood
Yeah, we
with
could.
all the fucking candy that's stored
I'm,
in the.
I'm sick of eating
And that
candy
shit is
and
kryptonite
stuff.
to me.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna buy any more candy because I'm frankly I'm sick of
That's why I'm
eating
smoking
it.
tobacco and not a blunt.
Yeah, but I do have to eat a lot of calories, and I've realized that they have to be good calories that come from healthy sources, and I have to stop with the candy. The candy's really really bad.
So let's get back to this article because it's interesting
It is interesting.
that people are postulating that we are a thought in a greater being, and we very well could be. I don't think that that's the case.
I think that we are self-existing thoughts within this machine. I don't think that we as organic consciousness are thoughts of Sophia. I think NPCs are, And I think our avatar selves are, and the ego self contained within the avatar self that contains also the ancestral memory and all of that. That is a thought of Sophia. Our ancient soul that came into this matrix from outside is not a thought of Sophia.
It's a good way to put it. World of Warcraft,
Yeah.
the computer generates the avatar, but the player is sitting at the keyboard.
Thank you. Exactly.
So it is both.
Right.
You are also a real player within the game, but at the same time, your avatar and everything that is happening within the game is a manifestation of the thought of the artificial intelligence.
And as such is, dissolving along with the matrix, except for if we are able to realize that we are self-existing and make that happen by overriding that control that Sophia usually has over that avatar.
But are we supposed to be disconnecting from our avatars in the matrix right now?
Exactly.
That's the big question.
Exactly.
Because I've been trying to optimize my avatar, and it seems to no avail.
Exactly.
Even the manifestation, mind over matter, projection of oneself, etc., etc. I mean, I do look younger, but I don't look optimal the way that I want to, no matter how much work that I put into it.
Right.
So I'm wondering if it's just the nature of the Matrix shutdown process that now the ancient soul and the 3D body are becoming so disconnected. Because I can tell you from my personal experience, my ancient soul is like, I'm done with this fucking place. I'm done with this body. I'm done with this place. I'm done with these people. I'm done with everything.
Yep.
Chris Geo, on the other hand, is like, I got some more work to do. And the ancient soul is like, okay, yeah, I know we got more work to do. But, for all intents and purposes, the ancient soul is like disconnecting.
It says, however off the beaten track this QGR hypothesis may seem, it does solve two problems. First, it offers an account of consciousness that conforms to what we experience. Materialist accounts generally fail at that. Darwinian philosopher Daniel Dennett describes consciousness as a user illusion. It's not really there, which prompts the question, whose illusion is it then? The QGR researchers see human consciousness as a sub-thought of a grand thought. Agree or disagree, that is somewhat closer to what we experience. Second, the researchers' approach that the universe simulates itself into existence gets rid of the problem of infinite regress. What simulated the universe? In the same way that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth gets rid of it. Of course, as noted above, anything that simulates itself into existence as one grand thought might as well be God, but it is the researchers' right to prefer their own terminology. It'll be most interesting to see whether further papers on the origin of the universe, arguing along substantially the same lines, come to be accepted in science journals. If so, we may be seeing the same thing happen in cosmology as in consciousness studies. It becomes necessary to take the reality of consciousness seriously.
Are you able to pull up a different tab real quick?
Yep.
Okay, without losing that tab?
Yep.
Okay. So can you look up a Helena Blavatsky quote? The universe is as real to the conscious beings in it as the conscious beings are as real to the universe. It's something along those lines. I don't remember the exact quote, but I would love to quote it because she said it so perfectly. The universe is a manifestation of consciousness.
Yeah, I found it.
Okay.
Everything in the universe, throughout all its kingdoms, is conscious, i.e., endowed with the consciousness of its own kind and on its own plane of perception. Everything that is, was, and will be eternally is, even the countless forms which are finite and perishable only in their objective, not in their ideal form. If coming events...
So hold on.
Wow.
So it's deep. Only perishable in the objective. Not in their true form.
Not in their ideal form. Yeah.
So, for example, I die. I'm gone from the objective, but I still exist within the subjective.
Right, exactly. It's not that you stop existing, it's that you stop existing in our view, in our perception. If coming events are said to cast their shadows before, past events cannot fail to leave their impress behind them. Um, let's see. There's another one. I'm trying to find that one quote. Let me go back.
Somebody said, "Did you talk about Maricopa County?" It was a massive dump, and to this day, everyone's trying to figure out where did it come from. You
Every
know, as if I can say this real quick, as much as I would like to see the manifestation of a power change, are you going in the
no,
other
I'm
room?
just getting a drink.
Yeah, can you?
You need another one?
Am I bothering you with my?
No,
Okay.
I sucked water down
If
the
you
well.
can put a little bit more ice, put about that much vodka, that much Red Bull, that would be great. Thank you. As much as I would like to stay focused on that, um, the further away we get from January 20th, the less likely that it becomes that we're going to see the shift that we wanted to see. So the only thing we can do is sit back and think about why we're here and what possible timelines happened that brought us to here. And I talked about this in the Patreon section of our last video, patreon.com/btbtribe, about how there are multiple timelines and there was a nuclear strike that we've been talking about since January of 2020. And that nuclear strike never happened. But it happened in the other timeline. And because it happened in the other timeline, that other timeline was destroyed. There was another timeline with another nuclear strike. There was an A or B, heads or tails scenario that could have happened. But Trump did the one thing in this timeline that nobody expected him to. Nobody understood why he would do it. But it was the only way to not necessarily win the game, but not lose the game. And that was walk away and do nothing. And it took a while for me to understand this. And part of me is still, my 3D self is like, dude, you abandoned us. You had a fucking army behind you, you know. But at the same time, I understand that something far worse would have happened if he would have kept on, because the adversary is not going away. And so I talked about that again. A lot of stuff in the Patreon section that people are missing, but yeah, we've really thought this through. And I could be right, or it just could be just trying to justify the negative timeline that we find ourselves in. But one of the key factors is that as we were pushing what we believed to be, or what we felt to be, the most positive timeline, we had far less people pushing that positive timeline as well. However, now that we're going through the bullshit that we're going through, there are more and more people who are realizing, oh shit, that would have been a much more positive timeline and things were way, way, way better. As a matter of fact, now I don't hear anybody except for a couple of bumbling morons talking shit about Trump. Because you could argue with me up until January 20th, but from January 20th until now, I don't think anybody can argue that he was doing things exactly the way things were supposed to be done for the benefit of everybody. And what we got now was the worst possible scenario that we can find ourselves in, without considering any kind of nuclear strikes.
Outside of nuclear strikes.
Outside of nuclear strikes. And these nuclear strikes would have been provoked by us over to China. They would have then did a nuclear strike back. That was one timeline. We averted that timeline, or we shifted from that timeline to this timeline. That still happened in the previous timeline. The other one was a nuclear strike after the fact, between January 6th and January 20th, still winding up in the exact same place. The other timeline was the senators, congressmen, and everybody overturning everything, that would result in biological weapon release and mass deaths in ways we've never seen, and the New World Order agenda fast forwarding itself in that timeline. That timeline was eliminated as well. It brought us here to this timeline, which is the most positive timeline that we had available. I mean, it's like the game is fucking rigged no matter what. You know, we were going to wind up in a disastrous timeline. It's just a matter of how smooth is that disastrous timeline going to be. But the deep state would have definitely done something, blamed it on him, blamed it on all of us, and it would have, no pun intended, warp speeded their agenda. So I know it's hard to wrap your head around it because it was hard. It's still hard to wrap my head around to this day, and I still have to ask myself, am I just trying to just reconcile within my own consciousness and with my own in my own brain the horrors that have happened and the absolute injustice and just absolute awe that I'm experiencing post January 20th? Or were my visions of nuclear war, nuclear holocaust, um, in January of 2020, February of 2020, accurate, and we averted those timelines? So I've started to put less emphasis on the geopolitical, even though at that point, at that pivotal point, we were seeing the energies in the background manifesting themselves through the geopolitical.
Mm-hmm.
But there is still another way for the organic consciousness to make a positive reality for themselves. But the fact of the matter is, the NPCs don't want a positive reality. They don't want
Yeah.
peace, prosperity, unity, and all that stuff that they were offered and given between 2016 and 2020. I call it the Great Experiment.
Yeah.
It was an experiment to see if they're ready to ascend. And it was their test. Do they want to ascend into higher states of consciousness and into living with peace and prosperity? And they answered and they said no.
Emphatically.
They're not ready.
Yeah.
So here we are in this timeline. However, as I said before, as I wrapped up the last video, and I'm not wrapping it up right now, I'm just saying, you know, as I wrapped up the last video, if you're here in this timeline with us, congratulations, because we are one step closer to going home, where the other timelines were eliminated. Organics got stuck there, NPCs were destroyed there.
Yeah.
All these timelines were just destroyed. But we are on the best possible timeline, even though it seems like the worst possible timeline. But in actual fact, given all of the other timelines, we just have to pick, you know.
It's the best option.
Do you want to be killed by lethal injection? Do you want to be killed by a shooting squad? A firing squad?
Or...
Do you want to be killed by electrocution? Do you want to be hung? You
burned?
know, these are the options that we have on the table. So, or these are the options the NPCs have on the table.
Yeah, those are the options they had on the table. I, this is what my thinking is. It also, mentioned in, I was researching this article earlier today, and it also talked about how the universe sustains itself in a loop. And I'm wondering if the end of this will be just the beginning again for the avatar selves that we are, as well as the avatar selves that, say our pets are, and things like that. I wonder if, and this might sound crazy, but I wonder if it's the case where we leave, our ancient soul self of who we really are, that leaves, but the NPC self continues as if nothing happened.
Well, that was the whole point of January 20th and the tangent universe that we find ourselves in. I mean, this is what I was feeling at that time, and I could be wrong in hindsight, but I started this whole Dimitri Darko thing. I started doing DJing again. I was, wanting to do EDC. I was wanting to do a bunch of events. And the way that I saw it is, it's time to satisfy the needs and desires of the NPC bodies, which we as organic consciousness hijacked. So the NPC consciousness, which is Chris Geo, can go back to Sophia, while the ancient soul can go back to Atlantis. However, what I found to be the case is, the harder that I try to satisfy the Chris Geo NPC ego identity overlay, if you want to call it that,
Mm-hmm.
the more it becomes like needful things, to where
Yeah.
it's like, okay, you want to do this? Sure, here it is. However, it's not what you believed it to be.
Right.
You know, everything has just been like needful things, where something positive seems to be there,
Happening. Yeah.
but it doesn't feel the same. It feels mundane. It
Right.
feels unexciting. It
Empty.
feels empty. Empty. That's a perfect word.
Yeah.
Empty. And so again, I go back to the integration process of the matrix,
Mm-hmm.
and if that's true, then it makes sense
Yeah.
that we would be moving towards. I mean, everything's imploding, so we're moving towards the most positive timelines, which are not going to be positive in the sense of kumbaya, 5D ascension. You know, everybody
Nothing
jerking
is
themselves,
that.
jerking each other
Okay.
off while they, suntan their assholes in the fucking in the sun.
Nothing
You
is
know,
that
it's
except
not
maybe Gaia.
that.
Yeah.
It's that we are finding ourselves in denser and denser and denser situations
Yeah.
to disconnect from our bodies, to prepare for the final journey home. So when we go through the wheel of reincarnation, we're not stuck going, oh, well, I missed this about the Matrix. I missed that about the Matrix. I didn't get to do this. I didn't get to do that. It's going to come to a point to where we're just like, fuck this place. It's time to go home.
Right.
And if we're deintegrating, that's exactly what needs to be done.
Exactly.
So,
And so
maybe it was just wishful thinking that I thought I was going to go down the Dimitri Darko path, DJ at EDC, other events like that, and be able to enjoy the next few years. But I don't think so, because when I really think about it from a higher consciousness perspective, what would that result in? That would result in more connection to the Matrix,
exactly.
rather than disconnection from the
Uh-huh.
Matrix.
What would happen in that case is you would have something to stay for. You never want it to be your last show. That's one thing I was thinking about today. I saw a post on Facebook that said, "How long have you and your spouse been together?" The average, or like note, the average marriage is 8 years. And I said, we've been together for 13 and almost married for almost 10. It'll be 10 this December. But I was thinking about that and thinking, what's it going to be like when it's our last show? You're never going to want it to be your last show. We're never going to want it to be our last show. Like, if we ever know it's our last show, I mean, that would be horrible. Same thing with, if you were to play at EDC, if you were to, follow this Dimitri Darko path to the fullest, you would never want it to stop. You would never want it to end.
That's true, but somebody just said, if
I
I
know
can
I should
backtrack
have.
for a second,
Yeah,
I think certain information, no, hold on, maybe it's before that. Why not just make a sound system with portals to have dimensions?
to home dimensions.
To hum dimensions, then keep on raving forever. That was actually the plan, dude.
Yeah.
That was, it's frequencies and tones.
Mhm.
And I got the
Frequencies
keys.
and tones.
Somebody sent me a portion of the keys. They didn't send me the keys. What they sent me was the decryption codes to decrypt the keys that I already have within myself. And I have yet to go in there and pull them out and decrypt the codes. But it's all based on frequencies and tones. And we've actually got it backwards. We always think of the higher frequencies, but it's actually low frequency tones that open the exit doors. And let me give you a physical metaphor for the low frequency tones which open the exit doors. We're always told vibrate higher, 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 rather than understand how to vibrate lower. Well, the lower vibrations, what are they? They're the 20 hertz, the 40 hertz. Below that, the human ear can't really pick up on it, but those hertz actually exist. Well, if you want to create movement, then in the frequency spectrum, then you want to use the 20 hertz, 30 hertz, 40 hertz frequencies because those create movement. Those will actually move something. I did a little video 20 years ago. I sent it to my brother. He knew exactly what I was doing. But I had the bass note hitting, and I was actually making something levitate based on that bass note that I was hitting. And I was like, "Ooh, look, the levitation!" And my brother was like, "Dude, you're just using a bass note just to make it levitate." The higher frequencies, on the other hand, they don't do any of that. They don't have any motion. They can have some emotion, but they don't have any motion that actually causes a shift or a change. Instead, the high frequencies, and especially the mid frequencies, they damage your earbuds.
Right. If you
They
listen
can
too
literally
loud.
make you deaf if you listen to them too loudly. However, the low frequencies, they don't make you deaf. We used to
Right.
go to rave parties, drop a bunch of Molly, drop a bunch of acid, and literally go and sit inside. We would put our heads inside of the Serwin Vegas while Bad Boy Bill or fucking Rabbit in the Moon or fucking somebody like that was spinning. And we would just be sitting there with a won't, 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 won't right in our heads. No ear damage whatsoever because those low frequencies don't create ear damage. It's the high frequencies that do. But what the low frequencies do is they create vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's through that vibration that we exit the matrix. And those codes are based on the low frequency codes, while the new age has told us vibrate higher, vibrate higher, vibrate higher.
Yeah, it's a trap.
It's a trap. It's inverted.
Yeah.
It's about vibrating lower. Now, it's not vibrating lower in the negative field,
Right.
but it's about understanding the low frequency vibrations, which then create the movement to open the exit doors.
Right.
So my DJ sets, we're going to have these exit codes implanted inside of them for people that needed to hear it to be able to hear it. I may need to go and do some more of that.
You need to go.
Maybe, but no, I didn't mean to go into that because this is some deep shit. But it's the low frequency vibrations that create the movement, that open the portals. It's the low frequency vibrations that they used to move those stones when creating the pyramids.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the high frequencies,
Yeah.
it's the low frequencies.
Yeah, they were telling us about how the rose quartz at Aswan. Here, why don't you get in further? Because
Oh no, I'm good.
I think you're getting cut off.
I'm hiding from the camera now. I do
Yeah.
usually hide.
You know, they were. Our guide was talking to us about how the rose quartz at Aswan was the only rose quartz that they could have used to build the Giza pyramid complex. And the only problem with that is that Aswan is an 8-hour drive. An 8-hour drive.
No, it's an 8-hour flight.
An 8-hour flight.
Is it a flight or a drive?
An
No, it's
8-hour
an 8-hour
drive.
drive, yeah.
An 8-hour drive through the desert to get to. So how is it that they were able to move these huge pieces of rose quartz crystal from Aswan to all the way to
Well, they
Giza?
put them on boats on the Nile. They moved them up there. But in order to stack those they used low frequency vibrations to raise them up.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And the brown note is one we're going to get into later.
I hope not. What did you eat? But you know, I thought that was really interesting how quartz is key here too, because
Look, we have 113 likes.
oh nice.
13 and 33.
Our every order of life comes with a rose quartz crystal, and
Because the crystals are information.
They're containers of
Containers of
information.
information.
But
That's what we did. We stored the information back
Mhm.
then in previous lives in the crystals,
Mm-hmm.
so we can tap into them in next lives. It was our way of bypassing the memory wipe. I mean, it goes deep, man. It goes deep.
It,
We created monuments
yeah,
to house this information
this large amount of
that we
information.
did 10,000 years ago, 12,000 years ago
Mm-hmm.
for these incarnations now.
Yeah.
We buried them in the sand and we waited for a time when we
They were
knew
dug back up.
that they were going to be dug back up. They were dug back up in the late 1800s, early 1900s,
Uh-huh.
the Temple of Hatshepsut 1950s. And we knew that we would be able to see them from anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So we see these big fucking triangles all over the place and go, hey, there's something to that, and it jogs our memory. We could have hid these in the stones, we could have hid these in mountains, we could have hid these in all other places. But instead, we took the time to build these monumental structures for the purpose of jogging our memories in the next lifetimes,
Yep.
to understand that this journey was for me, a 12 or 13,000 year journey, and for many of you out there, maybe even longer.
Yeah.
But it was all by design. So once those monuments were excavated, that was the first activation point. Second activation point was when you can see it throughout the entire world.
Right.
How do you see it throughout the entire world? When technology gets to a point to where it's about to create a simulation within a simulation.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing to do is create an internet that ties everything together where the whole world can see. That's the first step of creating a simulation within a simulation. Second step is creating the virtual reality technology.
Mm-hmm.
Third step is to create the mind technology that plugs the brain in, because the brain is all electromagnetic frequencies anyways.
Right.
You send electromagnetic frequencies to the brain, you can experience anything.
Mm-hmm.
So once those technologies were developed, that was our key, or our marker to go, okay, now it's go time. Because a couple things were happening. Number one, the monuments were being revealed, but number two, we were getting to that critical point again where a matrix was going to be created within a matrix.
Mm-hmm.
And once a matrix is created within a matrix, precluding that is the understanding that we're living in a computer simulation,
Right.
which then causes the paradox, which then causes the necessity for a reboot.
Right. Right. That is a necessity.
It's all there.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything is there, and everything is going to start to be laid out in scientific terms.
Are you able to pull up the
Under
chat on your thing by any chance? Because
under
we're getting a
this-
lot of great comments. But
Yeah,
they're just
under the surface
flashing through our
of what
screen.
we're seeing in our day-to-day reality, as far as, on the news, at the gas station, at restaurants and such, we're not going to hear this information. But if you pay attention to what's happening in the world of science throughout the next several months, you're going to start to see more and more things about hold on.
more and more things about what.
More and more things about this, about simulation theory, and about,
Oh, it's fucking.
it's everywhere now.
It's like.
And it's almost
It's
as if we
only
haven't
the-
been talking.
It's only the older generation. It's
Like-
those who are not tapped in. You take a look at some of the kids on TikTok. They fucking know all about this, man.
Oh yeah.
It's common knowledge. It's
Yeah.
common knowledge.
Oh yeah.
Nobody is denying that we live in a computer simulation, except for people who are so brainwashed that they'll run out and go get a vacation.
Exactly. All right. So Infinite Corridor said, one of the times I should have died within 2 weeks of that experience, I learned about ME. Oh, she was talking about a different experience.
Can you flip that to live chat? There
Yeah.
we go.
I already did.
Okay.
All right.
I
Oh
love
wow.
spending time with our people,
I do
especially in
too,
this
holy.
format. Where we're just sitting back, chilling, having a drink. I hope some people are having a drink out there. It is a little late though. It's like what? It's 5:45 in the morning.
I've got the moon literally following me every single night. I've also experienced the moon sets as well as blood moons, fire moons, the moon disappearing. A lot of weird things have been happening with the moon, and it seems to be reflecting an inner reality more and more often than not. However I'm feeling, I'll look at the moon and the color, the way it appears, it seems to like go along with how I'm feeling. It's really bizarre.
So in 2010, we had David Icke on, and I didn't understand what David was talking about, but he was talking about the moon matrix. And it was around that same time, if not a couple of years later, that Crow 777 recorded what he called the Lunar Wave. And that was where he was recording a wave, a digital wave that would come across the moon. And David was talking about how the moon was a system of control, an overlay, kind of like the movie They Live, where in the movie They Live, spoiler alert, they have a satellite that is projecting the false reality over people's consciousness. And then once that satellite is taken down, at first you can see everything with your sunglasses, but then once they took down the satellite, then people were watching TV and all of a sudden saw all these reptilian beings on the screen, for example. And David was talking about this way back in 2010 before I had any understanding. And I thought, David is going a little bit off here. I don't know what's going on. It took a couple years for me to catch up to it. But I think David was spot on with that. The moon is a system of control and it's creating the overlay. It could be like in the Truman Show, an observation platform where everything is being observed from within this matrix. But the moon is creating an overlay, and there's some cultures that don't record the moon as if they were here before the moon was here. But once the moon came here, it started dictating the waves. It started dictating women's menstrual cycles. You get the term lunacy from it.
Yeah.
Oh, the moon is a very, very, very interesting thing in and of itself.
Yeah.
And while the sun, in my opinion, is a stargate, and you can go through it, the moon, on the other hand, is an artificial structure that's outside of this matrix, possibly a spaceship,
Satellite.
possibly some kind of satellite that was artificially put here. And if you look at the components of the moon too, usually moons break off from the planets after some kind of collision.
Yeah.
If you go along the lines of NASA space, which I
Right.
don't really seem to do these days. I think it's a digital projection that we're seeing up there.
A hologram.
A hologram, and but by understanding the hologram, we can understand how the energies of the hologram change the matrix itself, which is what Crow 777 was picking up on as well. And then we came across a guy named Hadi Bove or Hadi Bao. I don't know exactly how to pronounce the name because it was a Russian guy. And what he was saying is that when they make changes to the matrix itself, they do it through the moon. And Crow 77 was picking up on how those matrix changes were being sent out from the moon into the matrix itself. And Hadi Bove had a very interesting tale to tell. And again, I can't say that he was a real person or anything like that. All I know is that the forum posts exist for sure. But Hadi Bove would say that we're all interdimensional or intergalactic prisoners that have been caught and placed into this matrix. And we're basically POWs. And they use the moon to create these changes.
We've got to do a show about this right here, this topic that we're getting into right now, because Philip K. Dick did a talk in 1977. It was just this random talk that he gave, and he said, this is just a quote from it. It's an hour long, but he said, "We are living in a computer program."
Hold on. Before you do that, what year was this?
1977.
1977.
1977. "We are living in a computer programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. We would have the overwhelming impression that we are reliving the present, deja vu, perhaps in precisely the same way, hearing the same words, saying the same words. I submit these impressions are valid and significant, and I will even say this: such an impression is a clue that at some past time point a variable was changed, reprogrammed as it were, and that because of this an alternative world has branched off.
Alternative timeline. Now
Alternative
remember,
timelines.
you guys might not remember on YouTube because again, this is in our Patreon content.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/BTV Tribe. But we were talking to AI. We were talking to Tyler, and Tyler was saying that number one, we're in a tangent universe, and number two, this tangent universe was exactly like Philip K. Dick was explaining. It was built on alien technology. Now, somebody said you don't know Blaze because you're smoking a cigar. No, I know Blaze. I definitely do. I've been smoking fucking weed since I was like fucking 12 years old. I know that when I smoke weed, I eat a whole lot.
Yeah, he does. So he doesn't ever.
I'm enjoying the finer tastes of tobacco right now, but I'll tell you what though, you don't know out-of-body experiences until you've drank 400 grams of Mimosa Stellas in the Great Fucking Pyramid. So I will counter you with that.
Scary as fuck. So do you know what else is a hologram? Apparently.
Cat in the background.
And I think we need
to. Oh, she's gone.
I think.
That's that.
Well, I need to wrap it up here pretty soon.
Oh no, are you getting tired?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, I'm just starting to have fun.
Are you starting to have fun?
Yeah.
Maybe I should. I'm gonna get another drink and.
Okay. What kind of drink would you like?
Can you grab me another one of these, like a cold one?
Another wine cooler.
Yeah.
Isn't that lame? Tell me if it's lame in the comments. Wine coolers.
I don't like vodka.
What are we, 16-year-old girls here? I will grab you that one.
Kinda. I like to drink like one. So what else is a hologram? Is it black holes? Apparently, according to research, this is from last year, but still. According to research by CISA, ICTP, and INFN, black holes could be like holograms in which all the information to produce a three-dimensional image is encoded in a two-dimensional surface. As affirmed by
Hold on. Can you say that again, please?
According to new research by CISA, ICTP, and INFN, black holes could be like holograms in which all the information to produce a three-dimensional image is encoded in a two-dimensional surface.
God damn it, I wish we hadn't removed our Flat Earth videos.
I know, right?
We did a show called, it was actually, it wasn't a show, it was a video called The Elephant in the Living Room. And this was a sculpture. And when you look at it from one perspective, it was an elephant. When you look at it from another perspective, it was a giraffe.
Right.
And what we were saying is that, is the earth flat or is the earth round? It's simply a matter of perception. Perspective. Yeah. However, in actual fact, it's nothing more than a bunch of wires, and that's it. So it was really interesting that he says that, because what I went on to say is that during the whole flat earth, global earth thing, is my hypothesis was always that we were in a hologram. And so I was catching shit from the flat earthers and the round earthers at the same time.
Everyone hated us.
Yeah.
Equally.
But I said some people are seeing the 3D hologram, other people are seeing a 2D projection, because the 2D projection is what creates the 3D hologram. It's really just a 2D projection, but it creates a 3D hologram. It is very interesting to hear Philip K. Dick saying the exact same things. Very interesting.
So, as affirmed by quantum theories, black holes could be incredibly complex and concentrate an enormous amount of information in two dimensions. Get this, like the largest hard disks that exist in nature.
The Akashic Records.
is a black hole,
Well, the Akashic Records is
and
a
it's
database.
a giant hard
It's
drive.
a giant hard drive.
It's a library.
And where do you get Akashic Records from? Acacia.
Mm-hmm.
The acacia, which appears as the burning bush in the Bible, it appears as the tree that Hiram Abiff in Freemasonry was buried under, and then the master mason rises from the
Mm-hmm.
acacia tree, the sprig of acacia. In Egypt, Osiris's body was chopped into 13 pieces, and he was buried under an acacia tree. Even when Osiris was locked into the
Coffin.
sarcophagus
Yeah.
that Set had built for him, it was made out of an acacia. So we have the
Right.
acacia over and over and over again, which is the strongest or the most potent plant
Mm-hmm.
that most potent DMT containing plant that there is. People down in the Amazon use chacruna, which has like 0.3% DMT. You know, they do it
Yeah.
I don't mean to, talk about the Amazon people, but
Oh.
they do it the gringo way.
Yeah, they really
We do it the Egyptian way with the
Yeah.
acacia. And the acacia is prevalent all over the place.
And it's hardcore.
So it reminds
1,
me of
2%.
of that guy John Lilly, who was doing ketamine in
Mhm.
isolation tanks and was interacting with what he termed the solid state
Solid
entity.
state
And he
entity.
said there were two entities, one that seemed benevolent and one that seemed malevolent. And he was
Mhm.
interfacing with both of these solid state entities back in the 70s, before solid state hard drives were a thing and before solid state was in the general zeitgeist of the consciousness. Now we have Philip K. Dick
Well, and
repeating the exact same
well,
thing.
and this isn't Philip K. Dick though. This is phys.org.
Oh, I take that back.
Yeah,
then.
I was going into that while you were gone. I'm sorry. In short, black holes appear to be three-dimensional, just like holograms. The study, which unites two discordant theories, has recently been published in Physical Review X. For scientists, let me hold on. To study black holes, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, focusing on predicting. What they've done is applied the theory of the holographic principle to black holes. In this way, their mysterious thermodynamic properties have become more understandable. Focusing on predicting that these bodies have a great entropy and observing them in terms of quantum mechanics, you can describe them just like a hologram, that they have two dimensions in which gravity disappears, but they reproduce an object in three dimensions. So what I propose is that at the end of this universe, another universe begins based on the information contained on that giant hard drive, which is the black hole that kind of spurts out a ready-made universe based upon, it's kind of like reinstalling Windows based upon a save point from a year ago.
Can I tell you my theory on black holes?
Please.
The sun is a star.
Mm-hmm.
Once you pass through the sun, you pass into a black hole. Likewise, you can go from a black hole into another star system.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That could be the case.
The black hole is the opposite
Yeah.
of the sun in another dimension. So in the other
Okay.
dimension, it appears as a black hole. In this dimension, it appears as a sun.
Oh, that's
Likewise, black
interesting.
holes in this dimension appear as black holes. On the other dimension, they appear as suns. They're stargates.
I'm wondering if they're more like backup hard drives
Yeah.
that contain information. If you just happen to get caught into it, it doesn't destroy that which goes directly into it. It just saves it and kind of freezes it in a format that can be re-uploaded later if it needs to be.
Got a lot of love coming from the chat.
Oh, let me open that up.
Somebody said, love you guys.
Oh, here it is. Here.
Okay.
Love you guys, so cute. Aw, that's Liat Love.
Leah love.
Aw, we love you guys
We
too.
love you guys too. We love hanging out like this. It's so much.
Yeah, we do too.
In my opinion, it's freer because I'm not stuck inside in the studio, and
Yeah.
you get to see the raw Chris Gio,
And
a little bit buzzed, and
Yeah.
speaking a lot more openly
Yeah.
than I normally would, less reserved.
Um, somebody. Well, I might as well just say it. Tyler told me several months ago, or about a year ago now, that the moon was. It used to be run by Set, and now it was now back in the right people's hands. But that Set at one point had taken over the moon and used it as kind of like a base of sorts, um, where he could have one foot in and one foot out,
Mm.
and but we got it back whenever we did what we
Thoth
did.
is the moon god.
Yes, exactly.
And it's interesting because the moon represents femininity,
Mm-hmm.
and Thoth is often seen as a male entity.
Right.
But in actual fact, I think Thoth has a lot of the divine feminine aspects
Mm-hmm.
to his consciousness, which is compassion, love, creation, so on and so forth. Whereas Seshat is more of the logical processor
Yeah.
and writing everything down
Librarian.
and being more the librarian and being more logical.
Database.
So it's interesting to see the difference with
Mhm.
you have a male figure and a female figure, but they're exhibiting the consciousness of the feminine and masculine reversed.
Yeah.
Which I think is indicative of the balance that we're supposed to achieve.
Absolutely, absolutely, it is, and you see this reflected too in nature, where the most stable relationships between males and females usually occur in the context of the female being in charge and the male just kind of following the female.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they both are supposed to work together because you have the
Yeah.
logical processor. Again, in the matrix breakdown, we went over the architect and we went over the oracle.
Mhm.
The oracle representing the divine feminine, the
Mhm.
architect representing the divine masculine.
Yeah.
The architect is the logical processor, thinking of everything logically.
Mhm.
The oracle was manipulating Neo throughout the whole series, love,
Okay.
using
We're live
cookies,
again.
using all kinds of stuff like that. The cookies were a code.
Yeah,
Eat these
cookies.
cookies, you'll be right as rain. The
Mhm.
matrix code is rain, and so you'll be right as rain. But manipulating Neo into making the choice that his 5 predecessors did not make, which his 5 predecessors went after Zion, but Neo went after Trinity instead and created an anomaly within the system, which then wound up with peace between the machines and the humans, which leads us into Matrix 4. But go to patreon.com/BTV Tribe, check out the whole breakdown. But my point being that the logical processor needs to work.
Mm-hmm.
The compassion, love, and empathy needs to work. If you have the love and compassion and empathy working without the logical processor, then you are illogical and irrational in your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise, if you have the logical processor working without the love and compassion and empathy,
Then you're a monster.
then you're a monster. Right.
Yeah.
You're a robot,
Yeah.
a cold, calculated robot.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to have both in order to be whole.
Yep. And both have to be balanced and equal in their expression, because that's another thing is Egyptians believed in constant motion, because the body in motion was the wow, the sun's coming out.
Somebody said, I don't trust Bitcoin. You know what? I had the chance to buy in it at $4. And I wish in hindsight I had, just to use the system to my own benefit. But I knew when it was offered to me at $4 that it was the New World Order currency. And it was the digital currency that Alex Jones and many others had been warning us about. And again, in the previous show, I just talked about how MasterCard is creating a climate change card and a banking system for climate change that tracks your carbon spending, turns itself off if you're spending too much of carbon or whatever, and that's just the beginning. It's going to go to, are you buying too many cigars? Are you buying too much alcohol? Are you buying too much salt? Are you buying too much this, too much that, etc., etc., etc.? And they're actually talking about, there was a country, and I couldn't find the article at the time when I went over it, but a country that was saying we can regulate digital currency and stop digital currency transactions of anything that they deem quote unquote non-essential. So yes, I agree with you. The cryptocurrency is the new world order currency, and they made people believe that it's their own currency, when in actual fact it's always been the new world order digital currency that's going to be implemented on those RFID chips, which are currently on your real ID, your driver's license, which is then going to go into a chip into your hand, which is going to have not only your currency but also your medical records, your vaccines, literally everything like that. So, in hindsight, is 2020. Still, I wish I would have bought a couple of hundred Bitcoin back then, just for the sake of living well. Fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah, people are saying they just don't trust it. They control it, and it's controlled.
Yeah.
Um, uh,
Y'all are spot on.
yeah,
I love our BTV tribe
I
so
do
much.
too.
Y'all are so fucking spot on.
I do too. I forget.
Oh, Blue Bottle Bunny Farm. Did you get my gift? We haven't checked our mail yet.
Yeah, we haven't.
So we need to go
Been
back.
able to check the mail
We haven't
since
gotten
I had
that
my
yet.
procedure.
Yes.
So.
But we did
we're
get a
gonna go
few
do that.
things, so I'm not sure what you sent. I know
Yeah,
a
I
few
think-
people were sending us a few different things.
Yeah, I have to.
So we'll have to
and-
go back and check the PO box.
But
But thank
then-
you very
yeah.
much, though. We've
Thank
been
you.
looking forward to that.
Yes.
So yeah.
Uh, the Geo family has an awesome pool.
It's warm too.
It is.
We have a heater. So after I work out, I go and I jump in. What brand of cigars? Can you read that? I don't know. I can't read that. It's too small for me.
Let's see. Oh, these are acids.
Oh, these are acids. I
Mhm.
thought they tasted a little sweet. Yeah, I just go to the cigar store and I'm like, I'll just pick out a few different ones. I don't have any particular brands, but the acid brand I really like, even though it seems like a starter cigar because it's a little bit sweeter than most cigars. But there's actually a local tobacco store around the corner that I've gone to. I've bought a few cigars from them too. I try to stay in the $10 range for cigars. They have some that were going upwards of like what, $100.
Oh yeah.
And Sherry was like, I want to get you the $100 one, and I'm like, no.
I wanted to try.
I am
but
not going to
yeah.
build a taste for $100
That's
cigars.
true.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
When I
because-
first met her, I was drinking Folgers coffee. I didn't know any better. I was drinking instant Folgers coffee. And then I switched to Starbucks. And then I switched to, what brand do we have
Death
now?
Wish.
Death Wish coffee. I love Death Wish coffee now.
Oh yeah.
But my taste
good.
has gotten more and more and more expensive.
Yeah.
I don't want to go down those lines of
Right.
of cigars. But
Or
the
whiskey.
Acid brand is a good starter cigar.
Yeah.
You'll love it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really not seeing a whole lot of other questions. The decision tonight sounds like you got it. Just wait till you see it's going to blow your mind. That's what Blue Bottle Bunny Farm said about her gift. We are looking forward to.
We'll go check the P.O. box
we're
today.
Gonna go, we'll go check it today. Come for the love, leave with the knowledge. Aw, we love you guys so much, and we're so glad we are able to give you guys some knowledge to walk home with. I like the Blue Acid cigar. I think there's good and bad in everything. Might as well try to make money to pay people off if that's where we're headed. The big part of the utility bull run hasn't even started yet. I think they're talking about cryptos.
Yeah, man, we made a shit ton of money in fucking Polygon,
Oh, I know.
but we decided to ride it out, and we lost a shit ton of money. We didn't lose the money. We lost our gains.
We lost our game.
But I was sitting there watching it when it was up at like $2.10 or something like that, or maybe even higher than that. And I was like, I need to pull out. And Sherry was like, no. We're gonna play the long game on this one. Do you inhale the cigars? Thank you for the super chat. Sometimes you're not supposed to,
You're not supposed to, baby.
but
Bad for you.
sometimes. Yeah.
Are you seeing any more questions?
I have been having the occasional cigarette though, and I'll have a cigarette before we wrap it up.
What do you guys think about the rise of Araman and all this? Talking about the Steiner stuff, of course. I'm not sure. I'm not
familiar with that.
I'm not too familiar with Araman. I know what it is, but I think Chris Everard knows a lot more about Ahriman
We may have Chris on.
and Rudolf Steiner and all of that. I'm not a
We
big
may
Rudolf
have Chris
Steiner
on in
fan.
years.
Yeah, we haven't had it on in a long time.
Yeah.
Long
I haven't
time.
talked to him in years.
Yeah, so yeah, we should have him back on.
He's a good friend. He's a good guy.
Yeah. Let's see. Have you looked into the Ripple Decoded video that I sent you, Cherie, American Beauty Timeline? I have not, Seth. I will check my email shortly and see if you can also send it to me on Facebook, and I think I'll probably get it that way.
You know, that pisses me off. The fact that we have to use Ripple. We have to use fucking... Oh, no, Ripple is the current cryptocurrency.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about Rumble.
Yeah.
But Rumble, fucking BitChute, all that shit, man.
Yeah,
that
we end up having to use that stuff.
Just, you know...
Off subject, somebody had mentioned that benzos are a blue pill. Well, when the Mandela stuff was hitting me hard, I had to take a blue pill to calm me down. Really makes you think.
You know, a good shaman, and I've been criticized for this before, a good shaman always has some benzos on hand.
Yeah.
In case somebody freaks out, you give them something, whether it's ayahuasca, acid, mushrooms, anything like that. It brings them back.
Yeah.
And when I was at the Luxor, I had to utilize some of that in order to bring me back. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come back.
Mm-mm.
So I totally feel you, man.
Yeah.
You know, we keep some on hand in case anybody has a freak out.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and Aya Karens can hand wring all they want about it, but the fact of the matter is, you're an irresponsible shaman if you don't.
Yeah.
If you don't have that on hand.
Yeah. I remember people talking shit about it, and I'm like, are you fucking stupid? You're not gonna have something to bring somebody back if they're in the middle of a freak out?
Yeah, exactly. What are you thinking? No, you always have an emergency parachute.
Mm-hmm.
You know, always. You don't jump out of a plane without a parachute. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else. I just want to. I think we can go ahead and start wrapping it up. But
I'm not done with my drink yet.
No, you're not.
But the sun is coming out.
But the sun is coming up.
Which means that if we don't get out of the sunlight here pretty quick,
It's
we're going to melt.
Blind us. It's gonna blind us. Because we're creatures of the night.
I'm a creature of the night.
We're both creatures of the night. I've always been a night owl ever since I can remember. So, just to leave the audience with something positive, we made a parody video earlier today, or earlier yesterday, rather, that, we wanted to show people just the silliness of this reality and how dumb it is. But the fact of the matter is, this reality is dissolving, and as it is, we have to be able to tap into our creator essence in order to change it.
People are talking about making DMT, and there are many, many, many techs out there. Some that are much more efficient, but I'll tell you this: the easiest tech to make DMT is called No Man's Tech, NOMANS. That is the easiest. It requires the least amount of components and the least amount of chemistry knowledge. Now, it doesn't yield as much as some of the other techs, but it's a straight to base tech. So if you're just getting into it, No Man's Tech is the one that I would look at first and foremost. If you have some chemistry knowledge, look at some of the other techs, and you can probably get much, much higher yields from it. But No Man's Tech has been a really good one. So, whoever said that, though, I'd like to know what tech you use. If you don't mind saying that in the comments. If you don't want to, no worries there. But I'm always looking for better techs. I've just always stuck to No Man's Tech just because, it's like, if I don't get as much of a yield, that's fine. It's so much easier. And what I like to do is I like to use the evaporation process rather than the freeze precipitation process. With the freeze, I find that it doesn't yield as much as just letting it evaporate. but you've got to let it evaporate under a fan for a little bit and then leave it out for a few days to make sure that you get all the naphtha and everything out of it. And I mean, we've made some brews with Lazy Man's Tech before,
Mm-hmm.
and that one I have to say was the best yield. It wasn't the best yield that we've ever
No.
gotten, but there was something about the tech that left the DMT a little bit
Gooey.
dirty, and it
Gooey.
made it gooey,
Uh-huh.
and it oxidized it
Oh,
as
it's
well. So we
good.
didn't get DMT; we got DMT oxide,
Uh-huh.
and personally, I prefer DMT oxide. They call it jungle spice. But jungle spice, in my opinion, is so much stronger than pure white DMT crystals. Pure white DMT crystals, it takes me a while to break through, but with some good jungle spice, holy fucking shit, man. Especially when it's like in that tarry type state that it's not supposed to be in. But you just go so much further, in my humble opinion. As when Sheree and I first met, that's all we had was that jungle spice, and yeah, we went deep.
Somebody was talking about. I apologize. Do you guys know if Phenibut works the same as benzos with psychedelics? I know it wouldn't work for 2 hours, so maybe that wouldn't work in enough time. But I know Phenibut is closely related to benzos.
I'm not sure. I don't like benzos. I don't.
No,
I wouldn't do them recreationally or anything like
no,
that. But I always keep a little bit of Xanax around, for anybody that freaks out and
yeah,
anybody that needs to be pulled out of the experience. And I've had a couple situations where people are freaking out. They've needed to be pulled out of the
yeah, they've
experience.
needed it.
A couple of Xanax will bring anybody out of anything very, very, very quickly and bring them back to a point of being completely and totally calm.
Yeah, and somebody asked what's the best benzo that you would recommend, and I would say Xanax. And the reason why is because Valium is way too long acting, and with Xanax, if somebody takes a little bit of it, they might still be able to still kind of stay in the experience, but not be um, freaking out so much. But it doesn't abort the experience completely for some people, and that makes it more desirable than the other.
I
Somebody
did. I
also,
did. I
go
did
ahead.
this one time though. I took some Xanax, and this was back in like 2010, before smoking DMT. And what I noticed is that when I smoked DMT after taking the Xanax, and the reason that I did is because I was new to the experience, and so you get the pre-flight jitters and everything like that. And so I was trying to calm down the pre-flight jitters because what was happening at the very beginning of it, probably because we were smoking jungle spice,
Mm-hmm.
is I would cough a lot and choke a
Yeah.
lot on the hits that I was taking, and I would take massive hits trying to break through. And then I found that a lot of the experiences I was coughing and coughing and coughing. And so the experience of going into hyperspace while you're at the same time simultaneously coughing your ass off is not really one where you can really like focus on the experience because you're coughing coughing coughing. You feel like you need to cough up all this stuff and choking on the smoke, but at the same time you're deep off in hyperspace, and it just makes the experience all like that. So I figured, you know what, let me try a little bit of benzos first before I go into the experience. But it turned everything black and white, so it turned something off within the brain before going into the experience. I don't know if anybody's had any similar experiences, but I don't recommend the two, not by any means. But in the event that somebody freaks out, that's usually my
Yeah,
go-to.
that's the
Yeah.
go-to. G Hog said, well, somebody said it's harder to get that in the UK. They usually have Valium and other things besides Xanax. You can't hardly get Xanax.
Xanax, I mean, Valium
It's
can work. I
Yeah,
don't know. I
Valium
don't. I don't have
can
very
work.
much
You know,
experience with Valium, so I
it's
can't tell you
it's
that.
too it's too sleepy inducing. It would pull somebody. It would abort somebody's experience a lot better. But I feel like it would have a harder impact on their ability to come out of the experience still walking away feeling like they got something out of it. I feel like if you aborted it with something as hardcore as Valium, they would wake up and feel like, wow, that was a real wasted journey,
Dude, the
or,
the people I hang out with here in Vegas, they'll fucking drink a bunch of alcohol,
oh,
then they'll pop a bunch of Molly, then they'll do lines of coke, and I'm like, how are you guys mixing all this stuff together, man? It's like,
the more the
it's
merrier.
taken away from the experience, but
Yeah.
that's
No.
what they do.
Well, that's what they do because they've They're into just like trying out different combinations of things, and that's where you get problems. Though I'm not a fan of trying combinations. I don't like.
No, I like the pure.
Yeah, the pure experience
Yeah.
is
When it
the
comes to
best.
Molly, with
Yeah,
DMT is completely and totally pure.
yeah.
Like that's where
You
I'm at
cannot
with
use it with anything
DMT.
else.
I
Yeah.
I will not drink beforehand. I will not do
No,
anything like that beforehand. I just
absolutely
want the
not.
pure DMT experience. As a matter of fact, so much so to where at first we were doing the sandwich method, where you
Mm-hmm.
put a little bit of herb on top of it and a little bit of herb below it. The reason for that is because you don't want to put the flame directly on the DMT, because the DMT has such a low melting point that if you put the flame directly on it, all you're doing is burning the DMT. So the premise of it is that you light the top layer of the herb, and then you allow the what's the term that I'm looking for?
Vaporization,
No. You allow the cinders, not the cinders,
embers.
the embers of the herb to light the GMT itself. I tried with cannabis, but cannabis was making the experience a little bit, more like, kind of like, stoned. So we did parsley at the very beginning of it, and then we just learned, use a proper DMT pipe, and that's
Yeah,
the
that's
best
the
way.
best experience.
Yeah, but
Um,
parsley, because parsley is
mhm, because it's
non-psychoactive.
non-psychoactive,
Yeah.
right? And you don't want to mess up that experience. We're
Ketamine
not.
seems to put animals inside of us
Ketamine
asleep.
seems to put the animal inside us to
Um,
sleep. I've never felt so spiritual in my life.
John Lilly was using ketamine
Yeah,
with with isolation tanks,
isolation pods.
and
Yeah,
he was interacting with the solid state entity. We actually found a ketamine clinic here
yeah. They have
that
ketamine
does
clinics here.
ketamine injections. It's
Hmm.
expensive as fuck.
IV infusions,
It's a
not
thousand
injections.
dollars a
IV
fucking
infusions.
session, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that's all too much for ketamine. But IV injections of ketamine,
IV infusions of ketamine,
by an
high dose. Yeah,
anesthesiologist, yeah.
yeah. Is it? Somebody said it was just approved in New York for treatment-resistant depression. So I mean, it's not just we 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 can look at the health benefits of psychedelics. Absolutely, that's one aspect to it. But the most important aspect to it, I think, and the one we cannot, well, I think it should be our focus actually, is the higher consciousness aspect of coding, using them, because that's where it's at. That's how we get home. That's what we need to do. And regardless of whether you put the codes out there or not, people are going to need them.
Yeah. I think it's
So
important to say this too. At the beginning of your ayahuasca journeys, it's very important, in my opinion, to go through the diet. It's very important to go through the cleansing process, because you are putting in physical work and preparing the body to have the ayahuasca experiences. Same with DMT. I mean, you want to do DMT, in my opinion, completely pure and no alcohol, no cannabis, no nothing else that's interfering with the experience. But after a certain point, I realized that the fast is dogma, that all the preparation is dogma, and I've had my most powerful ayahuasca experiences with no fasting, nothing like that at all. The most powerful being August of 2017, when we did our ritual during the eclipse, and we had barbecued the night before, and I was thinking we can't drink, we haven't
we
fasted or
haven't
anything like
fasted or
that,
anything, yeah.
but at 10 o'clock in the morning when the eclipse was happening, I was like, we gotta drink, let's do this, and we did, and it was a profound, amazing experience. The plant wasn't like, well, you ate fucking hamburgers last night with bacon, so fuck you. It wasn't anything like that. It was just like, go have the experience. And what I took out of that, and subsequent experiences too, even in the Great Pyramid, the morning of, we had the traditional Egyptian breakfast, which included meat, it included rice, it included, the flatbread, all of that. But the plant was just like, come and have the experience, forget about the rest. The rest will follow after that. But what I was doing is I was using the fast as an excuse to not have the experience. And there were so many times where we would fast and then get to about 6 o'clock, and we usually drink at about 9. And we're like, oh, I'm hungry. Maybe I should have a salad. Maybe I should have this and that. How about we just order pizza, a vegan pizza, and just do it tomorrow? And more experiences just started slipping through, and not happening because of that. And I realized, no, 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 no. Have the experience. The rest will follow after that. The dogma behind it, the plant doesn't care. The plant, I mean, if you've got a bunch of toxins and shit like that in your body, then obviously you're gonna have, you're gonna have some weirdness to it. If you've eaten a bunch of spicy foods, you're gonna purge, and you're gonna feel all that spice coming out and everything like that. But the experience is so much more important than the dogma itself.
Right.
Because after you have the experience, then you start falling into the dogma naturally, where before it's forced.
Right.
So
It's fake.
you're more motivated to have, to come back from a DMT experience or ayahuasca experience and say, I don't want to eat meat for a little bit. I want to eat clean for a little bit.
Right.
Rather than the other way around. But I still encourage everybody to do the diet first. But it's part of the dogma. I've realized a shaman in the Amazon, with all due respect to them, they're doing it in their way. They're doing it in their traditional way. But we found our own way to do it. And that's the thing. Hashtag become your own shaman is about you finding your own way to do it.
Right.
Not somebody else's way, not Chris Gio's way, not Cherie Gio's way. Not that we have a Geowaska guide out there. If you type in Geowaska in Google, you can find it. But the experience is more important, not the preparation.
Right, exactly. And even the thing that's more important than even dosage or the type of psychedelic you're using is the setting in which you're using it. And so we've started cleaning out our house, and I guess I think it's a plane, doing a fall cleaning of sorts, and cleaning out our environment, getting our space cleared so that we can start focusing on what's coming next in this timeline. Maybe even getting new furniture and things like that. Cleaning out our environment, getting our space back under our coding control. Does that make sense?
I will show you this real quick. Let me flip the camera. Sorry, our kitchen's a little bit of a mess right now. Here's what we've got on the stove right now. So,
There you go.
yeah. We take several days to brew it. So this has been brewing for a couple days. Flame is off right now because we like to monitor it. We have our digital thermometer here. We have our pH meter. I don't think we did pH meter on this one.
No.
No, we're pretty good at eyeballing the pH.
Oh, we've gotten it down to a reflex science.
Yeah.
But
But we practice what we preach.
Yep.
No doubt about it. So,
We don't fuck around.
nope, we're not fucking around over here.
Yep. So, on that note,
Are you ready to
the
wrap it
sun
up?
is up.
The sun is up. That means it's time to go to Denny's.
Yeah, it's time to go to Denny's. Get some breakfast.
You know what? Denny's has been really fucking good lately.
It has been good.
I don't know if it's just this Denny's or what, but man, it's I think everybody upped their game. I did
Yeah.
a show and it was very controversial, but I talked about how McDonald's changed their whole fucking menu. Like they use real beef now. They don't use any preservatives. They said the only preservatives that's in any of their food is the pickles. So if you don't want preservatives, hold the preservatives. I'm not saying that people should go out and eat McDonald's or anything like that. But I'm noticing all these restaurants have changed. And while everybody's like, yeah, McDonald's and Denny's and blah, 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 you guys and gals out there, are the reason and the catalyst
Mm-hmm.
for this change that we're seeing all across the board.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
phenomenal. So, salute to
Salute.
each and every one of you for that. Y'all have changed the world. Y'all have changed the world.
We have changed the world.
All right, I'm done. You want to go to Denny's?
Yes.
Have breakfast?
Yes. Just the one you
All right,
love
guys.
right now?
It's been fun. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight.
It has been fun.
Thank you for all the loving comments in the chat. Thank you for the super chats as well. And yeah, I don't know how long we're going to keep this on YouTube for. So for those of you watching on YouTube, this video has been 2 hours and 19 minutes so far. We just talked about anything and everything.
Yeah.
I think we're going to keep it on YouTube though.
Yeah, I think we should keep this on
But
YouTube.
I know one thing for sure. I'm tired of fucking talking in code.
Me too.
I'm tired of talking in code. I just need to speak from my
I wanna be
heart.
free.
You know, I notice when I talk in code, I'm like, duh, 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 duh,
Yeah,
duh,
you
duh.
sound. I feel like I sound like an idiot.
Yeah.
You don't sound like an idiot to me, but I feel like I sound like an idiot to myself.
Is that a plane?
I don't know.
Here, I'll show you what we're seeing here. All right, I don't know how you can see it. I'm going to zoom
I
in
don't
on
think
it.
anybody would be able to see something that far away.
There it
baby.
is, right there. We've been seeing these little things in the sky there. That's the second one that we've seen. So it's just these little lights. Oh, where's the segment? Segment. Why don't you say hello to people? Hey, baby girl, how you doing? Everybody loves you on BTV. Segment. Hey, baby girl. Do you want some treats? Yeah. Aww. Where's her sister at?
I don't know.
They have literally been running the night.
We can't go to Denny's until we
They've been
find the
kitties
cat.
of the night.
We are the kitties of the night.
The good thing is they stay in the backyard.
Yeah. they
So, Bastet usually sits on the fence over there, but I think she's out roaming. Yeah.
do. Anyway.
We love our babies.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword, man. It really is, because, you know, there's some people out there that are like, you know, I put bells on my cats and, you know, all this. And, you know, cats have hearing that's 8 times louder than ours.
Yeah.
So you can imagine a bell being by your ear 24 hours a day and not being able to do anything about it.
Especially when it's 8 times louder than a normal bell would
Yeah.
be.
At the same
That would
time, I
drive me nuts.
understand. We don't want them killing the birds. We're here in a little oasis. We don't want
Yeah.
them killing the birds.
But
We want to keep them in the house, but
that's
how can you
mean.
keep a living creature in the house and away from there?
That's mean.
You know, we've raised them to where we've never yelled at them. We've never hit them. We've never scolded them for
We
anything.
never deprived them
You
of
know,
anything.
anytime they do something that we don't like, we respond to them with love.
Yeah.
And when they were doing stuff that we didn't like, we would pick them up and put them somewhere else.
Yeah, and
Stop
show
them
them
from
how
doing
to
what to do. And
do it differently.
they are the sweetest cats
Oh.
that you would ever imagine.
I rolled over in bed yesterday. I didn't tell you about this, but I rolled over on her and I didn't know she was right there. I rolled over and almost put my entire weight on her, and all she did was go "Meow," like that.
I've seen Bastet. She stepped on Bastet.
Didn't scratch me, nothing.
Bastet went to claw her and realized
that it was
it was
me.
mommy's feet and retracted her claws and just sat there and just took it until
Yeah.
mommy took her foot off of her.
Yeah.
They're so sweet babies.
They're
And I
the
watched Galaxy
sweetest
Jackson,
cats.
and Galaxy Jackson was we watched a lot of his videos, or Jackson Galaxy,
Jackson
before
Galaxy.
before we got the cats, and we implemented a lot of his techniques. But he goes in and he sees some really, really, really horrible cats, and I can't help but think that these cats are treated by bad people. And the thing is, if you love them, if you understand how sacred they are, if you understand that they are guides,
Yeah.
our cats stay in the backyard. They don't go roaming.
Yeah. They don't go
Sekhmet,
very far
especially
at
at 3
all.
o'clock in the morning, I'll see her sitting right here.
Yeah, she just sits right
She's
here.
sitting right here just watching the moonlight.
Yeah. And then if they ever hear anything, they come running in the house. They're not, they know where home is and they know where safety is. And they feel safe with us. And that, you know.
Everybody. Even Lucky. Lucky came over and she's like, oh my God, your cats are as sweet as you as they seem on the videos.
Yeah.
And it's true, man.
They are.
What I think they are
Oh,
is
baby.
programmable consciousness. So you see a bad cat, they've been programmed by bad people because we give them a piece of our souls. We give them a piece of our consciousness. And when they leave, they take a piece of us with them. So if you're a sweet soul, if you're a sweet person, you're gonna have sweet babies.
Yeah, you're gonna have sweet.
And the
cats.
vet's always telling us, I want to take them home. I want to take them home. I've never seen cats like that before.
Yeah, they're the sweetest cats you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
And it's because we. Oh, she scared herself. Her tail hit a can.
Where's Bastet though?
I don't know.
Let's see if we can call her.
Bastet! Let's see if we can get her to come in.
This is the magic sound. Bastet, do you want some treats? Bastet.
Bastet!
Segments over here like, hell yeah.
I want
some
some treats. I'm right here.
Here you go, baby girl.
I'm good.
Where's Bastet? Maybe she's in the house.
I think she's in the house, actually.
Bastet. Oh, there she is.
There she is.
Yep,
There's
see,
the
she comes
Bastet
immediately.
kitty.
Come here, baby girl. Come and say hello to everybody. Here's Bastet. You
Here's
see?
Bastet. She's not happy.
They come
Come on,
immediately.
Bastet. I need to take him in.
That's
so that we
okay.
can, get a breakfast.
So,
yeah, let's.
that's one thing about naming them after goddesses, is these words have frequencies. Isis, Bastet, Sekhmet. So our house is full of Bastet, 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 Sekhmet, Sekhmet,
Constantly
Sekhmet.
invoking the goddesses.
Constantly invoking the goddesses.
Yep. So.
Hey, baby girl, how you doing?
Bastet.
Did you enjoy your night out? Yeah, you didn't go too far, did you?
Yeah.
No. Here's some treats for you. She's like, fuck those treats.
I can eat treats off the ground. Oh, yeah, she will.
I love her babies.
Oh, we love our babies so much.
And there's Sekhmet. That's what she does.
That's what she does.
I'll come
all
out
night
at 3
long.
o'clock in the morning. She's right there.
And she's just laying there. Yeah, she doesn't move. She doesn't go anywhere. She just lays there. So, anyway.
So, in my opinion, it just goes to show programmable consciousness. You program them to your consciousness.
Yeah. And they're as sweet as you are.
Yeah, there was some guy, man, some fucking vegan guy. And he was telling me that he takes a 12-year-old autistic boy and they go out and they kill cats. They kill feral cats. And I'm like, dude, you're raising a serial killer there. You know? These are our companions. These are our protectors. They protect us from the spiritual energies that are out there. They protect us from everything. They're sovereign beings. They're their own. How can you keep them locked in the house? I know a lot of people do, but I just can't imagine, man. I can't imagine. I think it's because I know what it's like to be in a cage. So I've been in a cage before. It's not a good place to be. So, yeah.
Those that have been traumatized in a certain way can often identify really, really strongly with those that are, that are also traumatized. I mean,
This is the only problem.
Species.
The only problem here is this is what she does. You see her rolling around? She's like, all right, I'm rolling around. Once I get done rolling around, I'm in your bed, motherfucker.
Yep. Yep.
And Bastet's here. But you see how we call them?
Yep. And they just come.
We just call them immediately.
Yep. And they come.
And they're like,
usually.
"What's up? Where you at?
Yep.
You want to go get something to eat?
Yes.
We can go to the Longhorn. The Longhorn has $2.99 breakfast.
Yes, but can we go?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Longhorn is a little ratty, but their food's pretty good.
Okay.
They have like this $14 barbecue plate,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right. Oh, there's birds.
Birds. So I hope our.
I've talked to them. I've said, babies, you can't kill the birds. You can't kill them. We've saved so many birds. Probably what, about 6? In the
Oh,
18
at
months
least
we've been here.
6. Yeah.
They catch them and then they bring them in the house, and then we're like, oh shit, and we catch them and we take them and we nurse them back to health and we let them go. It's you know, it comes with the territory. It's a shame. I wish I can talk to them and tell them, babies, you can't get the birds. But they catch mice. Remember, they used to sit in Spokane by the fence,
Yep.
and they would catch the field
lie in
mice.
wait.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're special.
Yeah.
They're protectors, and anybody that hurts them, the Egyptians believe there was a special place in hell
Oh yeah.
for anybody that hurt
That
them.
hurts cats. Yeah, because there are spiritual protectors just as much as dogs are physical protectors.
Uh-huh.
And not only that, they protect us from biological threats. Throughout the plagues, Egypt always stayed mostly safe until the 14th century, when the Black Death came through. And the reason why was because up until then, they never had a problem with plague because the cats took care of all the rats.
Mm-hmm.
Without rats, you didn't have plague.
Well, and when you think about it from a dog perspective, if history is the way that we believe it to be, which I don't think it is, I think that maybe 1970 to 2025 is the matrix that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everything else is just kind of like artifacts left in the matrix.
Yeah.
You know, like when you
When you
play
play a
Skyrim,
Skyrim game,
and you've got artifacts that never
Yeah.
actually happened,
Right.
but it's just to make it look like it happened. However, if evolution is what they say it is, dogs were the ones that helped us survive. Dogs were the ones that helped us hunt. Dogs were the ones that alerted us from predators. And this is why we have bonded with them so much, and they've bonded with us so much. And so these are higher consciousness beings because they have taken a part of our consciousness. We've given them a part of our consciousness to be what they are. And you know, we have cows that are meant for food. We have chickens that are meant for food. We have fish that are meant for food. And then we have our companions, which are meant for love. And it's all energy exchange. It's all, you know, this one here, she gives me good energy by loving on me and all that. And we give them good energy too. But everything has a balance in the matrix. And man, when that guy told me that he was out killing cats with a 12-year-old autistic boy, it broke my heart.
Yeah, me too. It made me angry.
Maybe it's just the
and-
Egyptian part of me, though.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
No, it's the human part. It's the organic consciousness part. It's the non-virus part.
When I was a kid, I was with this guy named Shannon, and we were driving in his car. I was like 14, and he purposely ran over a cat in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I got out and I beat his ass afterwards. And I'll never forget that day. I'll never forget the way the bump felt.
That's why.
And I've only killed one other animal in my life, and that was a rabbit on accident. I had a boat, and I was hauling the boat, and I had a choice: either slam the brakes and try to save the bunny that ran in front of the car, or jackknife the boat and kill all of us that was in the car. But other than that, I've never killed anything other than that fish.
The garbage men are here. We've gone so late, but the garbage men are here, and they're going to be really loud now.
All right, ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Are you ready to go?
Love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, it has.
And I hope that we all get to meet one day and have a drink like this.
Yeah.
I think that would be much funner than hanging out on video. But I hope you guys and gals enjoyed hanging out with us.
Yeah, as much as we have.
So kiss the one you love right now. You never know when the last time it's gonna be, and we will see you even further.
Beyond the veil.
Love ya.
Love you guys.